Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. Shin might have paid more attention. The third Hokage has a son? Never heard of him. Kushina admitted she didn't know Hiruzen had children. Kakazu really is bold. Guess that's expected from someone who fought the first Hokage. Shin knew Kakazu had messed up big time. Killing the third Hokage's son meant Hiruzen would hunt him relentlessly. Shin, you said Kakazu fought my grandfather? Is this Kakazu very strong? Tsunade looked over, intrigued. She'd heard of Kakazu, notorious in the black market for his obsession with money. Strong? He's decent, I suppose. But when he fought your grandfather, Hashirama definitely went easy on him. Kakazu likely survived because Hashirama spared him. If he had tried to assassinate Madara Uchiha instead, his grave would have seen countless seasons by now. Is that so? Still, he's an old monster who's lived since my grandfather's era. Tsunade was surprised by Kakazu's longevity. The Akatsuki must be in chaos now. I should go check it out. Shin decided to visit the Akatsuki. He wondered how Nagato would react. Kakazu had caused trouble. As the Akatsuki leader, Nagato would have to clean up the mess. He couldn't just watch Kakazu be hunted by Hidden Leaf Village ninja, otherwise, the Akatsuki would fall apart. I'm coming too. Kushina immediately grabbed Shin's arm. Alright, I'll take you. Shin opened a portal with Yamatsu Hirasaka, and stepped through. Hey! Wait for me, Maitru Mama yelled, running in from outside. But the portal had already closed. Damn it. Just missed it. Maitru Mummy slumped down, frustrated. She wanted to join the fun too. If only she hadn't gone out, she could have gone with Shin. Chapter 295, Pain's True Identity Exposed. Shin arrived at the Akatsuki's base in the Land of Rain with Kushina. So this is the Akatsuki base? It's so dark and gloomy, like a rat's nest underground. Kushina commented, looking around the interior with distaste. Shin Uzumaki, why did you bring an outsider here? Pain appeared, unsurprised by Shin's arrival. Given Kakazu's situation, Shin was bound to show up. But clearly displeased by Kushina's presence. The Akatsuki's base needed to remain secret. Their goal of collecting the tailed beasts inevitably put them at odds with the 5 great villages. The Akatsuki wasn't strong enough yet, exposure was dangerous. They'd already been exposed once during the mission to eliminate Yagura in Hidden Mist Village. Thankfully, not many had noticed. Now, with Kakazu attracting Hidden Leaf Village's attention, Shin bringing an outsider was unacceptable to Nagato. Hey! Who are you calling an outsider, you dead puppet? I'm Shin's wife. Kushina, fiery as ever, snapped back, revealing Pain's true nature without hesitation. It wasn't Shin who told her, Kushina sensed it herself. Though Pain looked alive, he lacked any life force. With her wood style, and mastery of Sage Mode, Kushina was highly sensitive to life energy and could easily tell Pain was a corpse puppet. A dead puppet? Orochimaru, hearing Kushina's words, looked thoughtfully at Pain. Sasori, the master puppeteer, also glanced over, intrigued by the word puppet. Hidden away, Nagato clenched his fists, furious that his secret had been exposed. Wow, that big guy looks familiar. Isn't that the demonic statue of the Autopath? Kushina exclaimed, pointing at the massive statue. Its grotesque appearance was unforgettable, even after so many years. It proved that ugly things could be just as memorable as beautiful ones. Nagato, hearing Kushina, almost stormed out to confront her. She's seen the demonic statue before? Where was it before I summoned it? He'd never considered this question before. Now, he had to. Leader, let's focus on my situation. Hidden Leaf Village's shinobi are still hunting me relentlessly. Kakazu's voice interrupted, his image projected via the magic lantern body technique. His real body was still on the run, hiding somewhere safe. Orochimaru, Sasori, go assist Kakazu? Pain ordered. Leader, just the 2 of us might not be enough. My teacher, Hiruzen Sarutobi, is leading the pursuit. Orochimaru said, glancing at Pain. As Hiruzen's student, Orochimaru knew his teacher's strength well. Orochimaru alone was no match for Hiruzen. Even with Kakazu and Sasori, their chances weren't great. Besides, Hiruzen wouldn't be alone, he'd have elite Hidden Leaf Village shinobi with him. Then I will go myself. Pain looked coolly at Orochimaru. As for asking Shin for help, Pain didn't think Shin would agree. He was probably just here for the show anyway. Pain going personally suited Orochimaru perfectly. This would be a chance to gauge Pain's true strength. Kushina Uzumaki had called him a puppet. Orochimaru suspected she was right, especially considering the other paths. He wondered if his dear teacher, Hiruzen, could force Pain's true controller out into the open. They set off immediately, arranging to meet Kakazu. The rendezvous point wasn't in the land of rain. Nagato didn't want to expose their hideout. He chose the neighboring land of grass as the battlefield. Are we going to? Kushina asked Shin. Of course. I want to watch the show. If you don't want to come, I can send you back. Of course I'm coming. It's rare for just the two of us to be alone. I'm not giving up this chance. Kushina hugged Shin's arm tightly, afraid he'd leave her behind. Shin chuckled but didn't push her away. He enjoyed the closeness too. The land of grass wasn't far. Within an hour, Pain and the others rendezvoused with Kakazu. Leader, I apologize for causing trouble for the Akatsuki, Kakazu said to Pain. He needed the Akatsuki's help. He couldn't evade Hidden Leaf Village's pursuit alone. Hiruzen was personally leading the chase, along with Hidden Leaf Village's best trackers. Kakazu couldn't hide. You dared to kill the third Hokage's son, yet you're afraid to fight the third Hokage? Kushina scoffed, looking at Kakazu. Kakazu remained silent. Do you think I didn't try? If I could beat him, I wouldn't be running. He acknowledged that his mastery of ninjutsu was inferior to Hiruzen's. Whether it was taijutsu, ninjutsu, or gadjutsu, Hiruzen surpassed him. Running was his only option. And you fought the first Hokage? I really wonder how you managed to escape alive. Kushina continued her sharp-tongued remarks. Shin looked at Kushina. Her toxic tongue skills are at least an 80 out of 100, he thought. Watch your mouth, little girl. Words can kill. Kakazu growled, a flash of killing intent in his eyes. He couldn't stand being mocked. Are you threatening me? Think I'm scared? Sounds like you're asking for a beating. Kushina wasn't intimidated. In fact, itching for a fight after being stuck in the land of whirlpools for so long, she almost welcomed the challenge. Kakazu bristled with anger, but seeing Shin standing beside Kushina, he held back. Fortunately for Kakazu, he didn't attack. Kushina would have likely killed him. She wouldn't hold back against him. Prepare yourselves, leader. Hidden Leaf Village's shinobi will be here soon. Kakazu said to Pain. He'd been running for over a day, unable to shake them off. They always caught up quickly. Pain nodded calmly, waiting for Hidden Leaf Village's arrival. Shin, what kind of expression do you think the third Hokage will make when he sees us? Kushina asked Shin. Can't guess. But it will definitely be interesting. Shin was also looking forward to seeing Hiruzen's reaction. Chapter 296, Third Hokage, give me some face. It hadn't been long since they rendezvoused with Kakazu, maybe 15 minutes, when Hiruzen Sarutobi arrived with his pursuers. Seeing Kakazu wasn't alone, the enraged Hiruzen faltered for a moment. Of course, the main reason for his pause was seeing Shin Uzumaki, Kushina, and Orochimaru. Hiruzen's expression flickered through several emotions, putting on quite the face-changing performance for Shin and the others. The third Hokage's expression is hard to describe. Kushina whispered to Shin. Hiruzen looked worse than if he'd eaten spoiled liver. Sensei, long time no see. Orochimaru greeted Hiruzen, then glanced at Pain. He still needed Hiruzen to help him force out Pain's true controller. He needed Hiruzen to draw out Pain's true form. Orochimaru, why are you here? Hiruzen questioned Orochimaru, while also glancing at Shin. He was implicitly asking Shin the same question. Hiruzen instinctively felt something was wrong. Were they all working with Kakazu? The thought made his expression even heavier. If that was the case, this situation would be difficult to handle. Third Hokage, give me some face. Let Kakazu's matter drop. Pain, dissatisfied with being ignored by Hiruzen, who had been focused on Orochimaru and Shin, spoke up, trying to assert his presence. Being ignored by the Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village bruised Pain's ego. As a self-proclaimed god, Nagato felt all eyes should be on him. Hiruzen completely ignored him and unleashed an Earth-style, Earth Dragon bullet towards Kakazu. He didn't even know who this guy was, let alone care about giving him face. Almighty Push. Hiruzen's attack was completely repelled by the repulsive force. Almighty Push was a versatile technique, useful for both offense and defense. So you won't give me face? Pain looked coldly at Hiruzen, killing intent radiating from his eyes. Nagato actually harbored deep hatred for Hidden Leaf Village. His parents had been killed by Hidden Leaf Village ninja. Although Jiraiya's tutelage had complicated those feelings, even leading him to temporarily let go of his hatred, Yahiko's death, a result of Hanzo and Hidden Leaf Village's collusion, had reignited his animosity. Who are you? Hiruzen finally turned his attention to Pain, whom he hadn't paid much mind to earlier. You may call me Pain. Or you may call me God. Pain stated flatly, his arrogance palpable. He doesn't seem that strong, yet he calls himself a god? Kushina muttered, annoyed by Pain's pretentious display. To average shinobi, he is. Shin explained to Kushina. Even peak Kage level shinobi were no match for Pain. At full power, he could likely kill a Kage instantly. So he's really strong? Then I want to spar with him. Kushina said eagerly. He can't beat you. Kushina's strength was at the peak of Super Kage level, comparable to Madara Uchiha during the Valley of the End battle. Nagato wouldn't stand a chance against Kushina. His Rinnegan wasn't his own, using its powerful abilities consumed his life force. Even better. If he was stronger than me, I wouldn't want to fight. Kushina laughed. Everyone prefers dominating others rather than being dominated. Shin glanced at Kushina. Her personality was quite similar to his own. He also disliked fighting opponents stronger than him. Who enjoyed getting beaten up. Only a masochist. While Shin and Kushina chatted, Pain had already engaged Hiruzen in battle. Taking advantage of Hiruzen's unfamiliarity with the Rinnegan's abilities, Pain quickly gained the upper hand, forcing Hiruzen onto the defensive. Your eyes. Are they the legendary Rinnegan? Hiruzen asked Pain. He had noticed the resemblance earlier but hadn't been sure. Now, witnessing Pain's power, he had to ask. Impressive, third Hokage. Pain said, floating in the air, looking down on Hiruzen. The legendary Rinnegan. Hiruzen's expression became extremely grave. He couldn't afford not to be. This was the Rinnegan, the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths, said to possess the power of creation and destruction. The power of a god. When Pain had called himself a god earlier, Hiruzen had been dismissive. Now, he thought Pain might actually deserve the title. Is Kakazu working with you? Hiruzen asked Pain. Indeed. I am Kakazu's leader. He just answers whatever they ask, huh? Shin couldn't help but comment. Just fight already. Why are you two chatting? If not for the fight, Shin wouldn't have bothered coming all the way from the land of whirlpools. Hokage-sama, I'll hold him back. You go kill Kakazu? A young ninja accompanying Hiruzen stepped forward. Shin, not far away, overheard their conversation and glanced at the young man in surprise. An Uchiha. Could it be Shizue Uchiha? Shin guessed, noticing the clan symbol on his clothes. Shizue, are you sure? Hiruzen asked Shizue Uchiha. Shin's guess was correct. It was indeed Shizue Uchiha. It made sense. Besides Shizue, which other Uchiha would willingly help Hiruzen? I'm not entirely confident, but I'll do my best. Shizue couldn't guarantee success. He had witnessed Pain's fight with the third Hokage, even Hiruzen had struggled. Shizue knew he wouldn't have an easy time either. Be careful. Kakashi. Assist Shizue. Hiruzen ordered another ninja nearby. Kakashi Hatake was also present. He was now an Anbu member, tasked with protecting the Hokage, hence why he accompanied Hiruzen on this mission to hunt down Kakazu. Chapter 297, Shizue's Mangekyo. Hiruzen Sarutobi laid out the plan. He would deal with Kakazu, while the others would focus on stalling Pain. They didn't need to defeat Pain. Hiruzen didn't expect Shizue Uchiha and the others to accomplish that anyway. Just keep him occupied. Mangekyo Sharingan. Activate. Shizue Uchiha declared softly, his eyes transforming. Hiruzen was stunned. He hadn't known Shizue had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Such youth, yet possessing such power. Hiruzen's thoughts grew complex. Besides Shizue, the Uchiha clan boasted another prodigy. Itachi Uchiha, Fugaku's son. The Uchiha clan seemed almost too powerful. A clan with excessive strength could threaten the village's stability. But Hiruzen pushed those thoughts aside for now. Seizing the moment Shizue engaged Pain, Hiruzen moved towards Kakazu. Regardless of anything else, Kakazu had to die. Not just to appease the daimyo, but also to avenge his son, Asuma. That was his primary motivation. Hiruzen had his own personal reasons. Mangekyo Sharingan. Orochimaru's eyes lit up. He immediately turned his attention towards Shizue Uchiha. Although Orochimaru's ultimate goal was the Rinnegan, obtaining the Mangekyo Sharingan wouldn't be bad either. He remembered Shin Uzumaki's Susanoo, its terrifying destructive power rivaling the Rinnegan. However, Orochimaru knew only the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan could unleash such might. A regular Mangekyo couldn't compare. Still, Orochimaru coveted the Mangekyo Sharingan. If an opportunity arose, he wouldn't pass it up. This was his chance. Lightning style, lightning blade, Kakashi Hatake, his left eye a 3 Tomoe Sharingan, fixed his gaze on Orochimaru and unleashed the upgraded version of the Chidori. The lightning blade. This jutsu concentrated a massive amount of chakra into the hand, forming high-intensity lightning, then charged forward to pierce the enemy. Due to the incredible speed, it was best used in conjunction with the Sharingan. Kakashi happened to possess the Sharingan gifted to him by Obito. The lightning blade struck Orochimaru's body, which dissolved into mud. Orochimaru had used an earth-style substitution jutsu at the last second. It was only thanks to Orochimaru's heightened sense of danger that he dodged the attack. Even a Kage could be caught off guard and killed by a surprise lightning blade attack, despite Kakashi's overall strength being below Kage level. What a dangerous jutsu. Orochimaru looked at Kakashi expressionlessly, though inwardly furious. That jutsu looks pretty good. Kushina's eyes brightened. She found Kakashi's lightning blade impressive. While the lightning blade lacked wide area destruction, its piercing power was second only to the Hellstab, one-finger Nukite. However, hitting an opponent was difficult. Without the Sharingan's visual prowess to compensate for the speed, missing was common. Even with the Sharingan, if the opponent anticipated the attack, dodging was relatively easy because it was a linear strike. Regardless, it was still an S-rank jutsu, quite powerful. Shin casually copied it. Honestly, Shin could probably develop the Chidori and lightning blade himself if he put his mind to it. But he felt they lacked the development potential of the Rasengan, so he hadn't bothered. Better to spend time refining the Rasengan. After all, the protagonist, Naruto Uzumaki, had basically spammed variations of the Rasengan all the way to the end of the series. The battlefield descended into chaos. Hiruzen faced off against Kakazu and Sasori. Orochimaru was temporarily held up by Kakashi Hatake. Although Kakashi wasn't Orochimaru's match, he could stall him for a while. Meanwhile, Shizue Uchiha led the other elite Hidden Leaf Village ninja, engaging Pain in a tactical battle. Are we just going to watch? Kushina asked Shin. Yes. I'm here for the show anyway. If you feel like joining in, Kushina, go ahead. Shin had no interest in intervening. The opponents were too weak. If it were Six Paths level opponents, he might participate. But these guys weren't even challenging. It felt like stepping on ants. Shin preferred watching the ants fight amongst themselves. Nah, I'll just watch with you. Kushina snuggled up beside Shin. She had initially felt the urge to fight, but realizing she could spend quality time alone with Shin, she decided against wasting it. Susanoo, Shizue Uchiha activated his Susanoo. A green Susanoo materialized, blocking the almighty push attack. That Susanoo is way too green. Not a good color. Shin couldn't help but comment, looking at Shizue's Susanoo. Activating Susanoo took a heavy toll on Shizue. His face contorted in pain, blood streaming from his eyes. A frightening sight. This was the price of using Susanoo. Its power was immense, but so was the cost. Shizue felt an excruciating, bone-deep pain, forcing guttural roars from his throat. It required incredible willpower to endure such agony. Shizue's green Susanoo wielded a rapidly rotating spiral sword, like a drill, and thrust it towards Pain. I've found your weakness. That jutsu that repels everything. It has a 5-second interval. Shizue said to Pain. Though the fight hadn't lasted long, Shizue had already identified a weakness in Pain's Rinnegan. In terms of combat talent, Shizue Uchiha was definitely on par with Itachi Uchiha, if not superior in some aspects. Itachi's Ganjutsu skills were taught by Shizue. Shizue's death was truly a loss. So what if you know? Can you even hit me? Pain remained confident, unfazed by the Susanoo's attack. Just as the spiral sword was about to strike Pain, the Deva path vanished. Summoned away by the animal path. Besides summoning beasts, the animal path could also summon the other paths. Shizue's attack hit nothing but air. Azura attack. The Azura path launched its fist and forearm like a rocket, striking the Susanoo and forcing it back. The Azura path's attacks were akin to modern weaponry. Though the Deva path often overshadowed the other paths, their individual abilities were still quite formidable. Chapter 298, Copying Shizue Uchiha's Dujutsu explosions echoed continuously. Shin watched with keen interest. Beside him, Kushina's hands itched, she wanted to join the fight. The Sandaime is pretty strong. Kushina pointed at Hiruzen Sarutobi, the scrawny old monkey-like man. After summoning Inma, Hiruzen wielded his adamantine staff, sweeping away several puppets with each strike. Sasori was furious. Most of his puppets had been destroyed by Hiruzen. Should I bring out my trump card? Sasori's trump card was, of course, the third Kazekage puppet. After hesitating, he decided against it. In the shinobi world, always keep something hidden. There was no harm in holding back. Unlike Sasori, Hiruzen wasn't holding back at all. Facing the man who killed his son, How could he? At full power, Hiruzen had already destroyed one of Kakazu's masked beasts, effectively taking one of his hearts. The most exciting battle was Shizue Uchiha versus the Six Paths of Pain. Susanoo was destroyed multiple times, forcing Shizue to constantly expend ocular power and chakra to repair it. He pulled out a handful of soldier pills from his pouch and swallowed them whole. Soldier pills rapidly restored chakra, but overuse had side effects. The body couldn't handle it. The pills worked by forcibly extracting energy from cells. Overdoing it could be life-threatening. But Shizue had no choice now. It was the only way to maintain Susanoo. Playing like that. Shizue Uchiha is quite the ruthless one. Shin observed. Overexerting the Mangekyo Sharingan wasn't just physically agonizing, it also hastened blindness. Despite pushing himself to the limit, Shizue didn't last long. The chakra consumed by Susanoo couldn't be replenished by soldier pills alone. Susanoo dissipated, and Shizue collapsed. Unconscious. However, he had managed to destroy the Azure Path of the Six Paths of Pain. A respectable feat. But ultimately meaningless. The Naraka Path could summon the King of Hell, which could repair damaged paths. So, the Azure Path Shizue had sacrificed so much to destroy could be restored. Even if it couldn't be, Nagato could simply create another one. I'm done playing with you. Orochimaru, who had been tangling with Kakashi, instantly disengaged upon seeing Shizue collapse and rushed towards him. If he were serious, Orochimaru could have dealt with Kakashi long ago. He had been deliberately stalling. Susanoo's defense was too strong, Orochimaru had no way to break through it. He had been waiting for Pain to defeat Shizue. Although I didn't get to see Pain's true body, obtaining a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan isn't bad either, Orochimaru thought to himself. Adamantine staff, extend. Just as Orochimaru's hand was about to reach Shizue, Hiruzen's adamantine staff struck him, sending him flying. Sensei. Orochimaru scrambled up from the ground, glaring resentfully at Hiruzen. He was so close. So close to capturing Shizue. But Hiruzen had ruined everything. System, use one advanced replication card to copy Shizue Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan abilities. Shin issued the command mentally. He used one advanced replication card, leaving him with 3 cards remaining. 1 advanced and 2 divine. Shizue Uchiha's, Kodo Umatsukami, was definitely worth copying. It was an incredibly powerful dujutsu. It could forcibly alter someone's will without them even noticing. Mikoto also possessed, Kodo Umatsukami, but Shin hadn't copied hers because she only had it in one eye, the other was, Tsukami. Shizue Uchiha, however, possessed Kodo Umatsukami in both eyes, though they functioned slightly differently. One permanently altered the target's will, while the other did so temporarily. That was why Shin had waited to encounter Shizue Uchiha before copying the ability. Kodo Umatsukami is powerful. I wonder if it would work on 6 paths level individuals if I use it? Shin was curious. He was confident he could alter the will of anyone below 6 paths level, but what about those at that tier? 6 paths level individuals had mastered yin-yang style to the extreme. Kodo Umatsukami, being a yin-style mental attack, might or might not be effective. Shin wasn't sure. The battle is over. As expected. Shin observed the scene. Everything had unfolded as anticipated. Hiruzen definitely couldn't kill Kakazu. Unless Hiruzen could defeat the 6 paths of pain, Nagato wouldn't let Kakazu die. If Kakazu died under his protection, it would signify that the Akatsuki couldn't guarantee the safety of its members. If Kakazu were merely an elite Jonin, Nagato wouldn't care. Plenty of Jonin and elite Jonin had joined the Akatsuki and died. Kakazu's partners were mostly killed by Kakazu himself. The fact that Hidan could partner with Kakazu and survive suggested Hidan wasn't weak either. Or perhaps it was simply because Hidan was immortal. A truly broken ability. Kakashi, retreat. Hiruzen ordered Kakashi to take the unconscious Shizue Uchiha and withdraw. Hiruzen hadn't gained any advantage against Sasori and Kakazu. Killing Kakazu wasn't easy. He was Kage level himself, with bizarre abilities. Hiruzen couldn't defeat him quickly. Now, with Shizue out of commission and the other elite ninja injured, continuing the fight would be disastrous. Hiruzen led the Hidden Leaf Village ninja in retreat. Leader, aren't you going to pursue them? Orochimaru asked, his eyes narrowed. A pair of Mangekyo Sharingan had just slipped through his fingers, he was unwilling to let them go. If you wish to pursue them, feel free. Pain said, glancing at Orochimaru. Pain could have stopped Hiruzen, but he chose not to. Killing Hiruzen, the Hokage, would mean all-out war with Hidden Leaf Village. Even though Hidden Leaf Village was weakened, it was still powerful. And Hiruzen wasn't the only threat. Jiraiya was still out there somewhere. Nagato didn't want to fight Jiraiya. Kakazu, don't go out on missions for a while. Pain instructed Kakazu. He didn't want Kakazu getting caught by Hidden Leaf Village ninja again. If he couldn't reach Kakazu in time to rescue him, Kakazu would die. It wasn't that Pain cared about Kakazu's life, but Kakazu was still useful. He couldn't die yet. Chapter 299, Thinking about Other Women at a Time Like This? Where's Shin Uzumaki? After everything concluded, Pain surveyed the area, noticing Shin Uzumaki was gone. He left. Just a moment ago. Sasori replied. Pain hadn't noticed, but Sasori had seen Shin's departure. Pain nodded without further comment and led the others back to the Akatsuki base. Shin and Kushina didn't return to the land of whirlpools immediately. Kushina clung to Shin's arm, wanting to spend more time alone with him. Shin, naturally, didn't refuse her request. I miss the old days, when it was just the two of us. Kushina reminisced about their time before the Uzumaki clan's destruction, when no one else competed for Shin's attention. Now you're a two-timing scoundrel. Recalling the present, Kushina's expression soured, her tone laced with resentment. Just moments ago, she was complaining about Hiruzan's quick changes of face, yet she's doing the exact same thing, Shin muttered under his breath. He didn't let Kushina hear, otherwise, she'd likely bite him in embarrassment and anger. Do you think Mikoto and the others will be angry if we stay out for a few days? Shin asked Kushina. Ha! Thinking about other women at a time like this? Kushina glared at Shin, her explosive temper instantly ignited. Her small fists rained down on Shin like machine gun fire. Can't catch a break, can I? Shin sighed, dodging her attacks. The entire street descended into chaos thanks to their antics. Stop running. I won't hit you anymore. Kushina yelled after Shin. She'd been chasing him for a while but couldn't catch him. If Shin didn't want to be caught, she could chase him forever and still fail. How do I know you're not tricking me? I am a woman of my word. If I'm lying, I'm a puppy. Don't you trust me, Shin? Kushina asked pitifully. A puppy? You bite me all the time. You already are a puppy. Shin retorted with a grin, turning back to face her. Don't move. I promise I won't kill you. Kushina's hair whipped around as her chakra flared. She charged at Shin, fists raised. Uh-oh, is she really mad? Shin felt a shiver seeing her genuine anger and quickly dodged her attack. Boom. The unfortunate wall beside Shin crumbled under the force of her punch. Ahem, I was just joking. Don't be so serious. I prefer gentle women, Kushina. You're too violent. Shin coughed lightly. So you're saying you like Mikoto and Conan more, is that it? Kushina asked unhappily. No. I swear. Kushina is the one I love the most. Among others. The last two words, Shin thought silently. His emotional intelligence wasn't that low, he wasn't suicidal. That's more like it. Kushina's face broke into a radiant smile, looking particularly captivating. What are you staring at? Kushina asked, noticing Shin's dazed expression. You're just too beautiful. I got lost looking at you. Shin swore he wasn't lying, he truly had been captivated by her smile. Saying things like that. Kushina blushed slightly, quickly masking her embarrassment. She wouldn't admit she was shy. Shin noticed her blush but didn't tease her further. Annoying Kushina when she was genuinely flustered could be troublesome. He wasn't looking for that kind of excitement right now. I'm hungry. Kushina announced. After chasing Shin for so long, she was genuinely famished. Hungry? Let's see if there's anything good to eat around here. They were currently in a town within the Land of Fire, a place Shin hadn't visited before. Though he'd traveled extensively, he hadn't explored every corner of every nation. I'd rather have you cook for me. Kushina said, looking at Shin expectantly. Kushina, you know we don't have any ingredients or cooking tools. I can't possibly cook right now. Shin spread his hands helplessly. Hey, I think you're just being lazy and don't want to cook. Kushina saw right through his excuse. And she was right. Back when he lived with Kushina in Hidden Eddy Village, or later with Tsunoda in Hidden Leaf Village, Shin had been quite diligent in cooking. Tsunoda and Kushina were lazy. If he hadn't cooked, they might have starved. But after Mikoto joined them, she took over most household chores, freeing up Shin's time. Over time, he had grown accustomed to the leisure. Now, he avoided it whenever possible. Laziness was indeed a habit formed by indulgence. Look, there's a popular sushi restaurant over there. Let's check it out. Shin pointed. The restaurant was bustling with a long queue. The sushi must be good to attract such a crowd. Kushina looked over, her curiosity piqued. So many people lining up? The aroma drifting from the shop was enticing, even from a distance. Alright, let's go try it. But you have to promise. Next time I ask you to cook, you can't refuse. Phew. Shin breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. As long as Kushina agreed now. Next time was a problem for next time. Even if Kushina remembered and brought it up again, Shin was confident he could find another way to distract her. He had used this tactic countless times, and it always worked on Kushina. Chapter 300, Inappropriate Thoughts? Kakazu actually has a bounty on his head? And it's so high. Kushina held up a bounty poster. Kakazu's bounty was currently the highest, surpassing even the Kage in the underground black market. Not surprising. After all, he killed the daimyo's son and the Hokage's son. It'd be strange if his bounty wasn't high. Shin wasn't surprised. Kakazu would likely find it difficult to move freely in the shinobi world from now on. Given Kakazu's greedy nature, I wonder if he'd cut off his own head to collect the reward if he knew how much it was worth, Shin joked. Of course, Shin was just kidding. Kakazu wasn't stupid. No matter how much he loved money, he wouldn't decapitate himself for it. Actually, I'm curious. Who would pay to have a Land of Fire daimyo's eldest son killed? Kushina asked Shin, puzzled. It's easy to guess. Who benefits the most? It has to be one of the daimyo's other sons. The Land of Fire daimyo had more than one son, but only one heir. Internal struggles and schemes were inevitable among them. But Kakazu was truly audacious to accept such a mission. And the black market was even more audacious for issuing such a bounty. The black market had existed since the Warring States period, even before the 5 great villages were established. Its longevity wasn't due to its own strength, but because it filled a need. Handling shady business that couldn't be done openly. However, the black market was likely facing trouble now. Hidden Leaf Village and the Land of Fire wouldn't let this slide. Even if the black market wasn't completely destroyed, it would suffer a major blow. We've been out for 5 days. Shouldn't we head back? Shin asked Kushina. Are you tired of being with me, Shin? Kushina asked, blinking innocently. Of course not. I'd get tired of myself before I got tired of you. Liar. Though Kushina called him a liar, the undeniable smile on her face revealed her true feelings. His words made her heart flutter. No need to rush back. Let's play for a few more days. Once they returned, she wouldn't have Shin all to herself anymore. Kushina admitted to herself she was being a bit selfish, but women often felt that way about their men. If she didn't truly love him, why would she be willing to share him with other women? Kushina decided she would be selfish just this once. Even if Tsunade and Mikoto criticized her when they got back, she'd accept it. Kushina clung to Shin's arm, pleading sweetly. Shin ultimately couldn't resist her charm offensive. Kushina's sweet attack is very strong. Shin nodded, agreeing to stay out with her for a few more days. Kushina immediately flashed a victory sign. More alone time with Shin. She felt utterly content. Kushina was easily satisfied. After spending a few more days traveling and enjoying themselves, Shin and Kushina finally prepared to return to the Land of Whirlpools. Otherwise, Tsunade and the others might storm out looking for him. But before heading back, Shin had one more thing to do. Why are we in this deserted place? Kushina asked Shin, looking around the deserted wilderness. Had he brought her here for some private time? The thought made her blush. No. Not now. Kushina waved her hands frantically at Shin. What? Shin looked at Kushina, completely bewildered. What on earth is she imagining now? You weren't thinking inappropriate thoughts, were you? Shin asked Kushina suspiciously. He had guessed correctly, but Kushina, of course, wouldn't admit it. No. I absolutely wasn't thinking anything inappropriate. I swear. Though Kushina denied it, her blushing face betrayed her completely. Kushina, if you were thinking of something naughty, tell me. Maybe I can make your dreams come true. Shin continued to tease her. No. I already said no. If you say that again, I'll hit you. Kushina threatened, shaking her fist at Shin. Whenever Kushina got flustered and angry, she resorted to threats. And right now, she was definitely flustered and angry. Based on experience, Shin knew not to push her further. Besides, he had business to attend to. He quickly formed hand seals, completing several in an instant, then clasped his hands together. Those hand seals. Reaper Death Seal? Kushina's face paled. Though she hadn't learned the jutsu itself, she recognized the hand seals. Shin, are you crazy? Why are you using the Reaper Death Seal? Kushina grabbed Shin's hand frantically. Relax, Kushina. I'm not crazy. I just want to meet the Shinigami. You don't really think it can take my soul, do you? Shin reassured Kushina. The Shinigami had no power over his soul. Which was why he dared to use the forbidden sealing jutsu. He was alive and well, enjoying life. He had no intention of committing suicide. Really? Kushina asked worriedly. Of course. When Minato no Mikaze used the Reaper Death Seal, I assessed the Shinigami's power. It poses no threat to me. Shin ruffled Kushina's hair, calming her down. Kushina tentatively relaxed. Thinking about it, Shin wouldn't do anything he wasn't confident about. As they spoke, the Shinigami materialized. This time, Shin could see it more clearly than before. Clad in white robes, with a demonic face, 2 horns, and a short blade clenched in its teeth. As Shin looked at the Shinigami, its gaze met his. "Shinigami, can you speak?" Shin asked. The Shinigami remained silent, but its gaze towards Shin turned dangerous. The Shinigami, which had appeared with its eyes closed, now opened them. Its dark, eerie eyes were frightening, even Kushina jumped back in fear. "This thing is ugly and creepy. Shin, why did you summon it?" Kushina asked Shin. She truly didn't understand why Shin would risk using the Reaper Death Seal just to summon the Shinigami. "I have my reasons," Shin replied with a faint smile. Chapter 301, Hagoromo Otsutsuki's younger brother. Hamura Otsutsuki. Shin stared at the Shinigami, and the Shinigami stared back at Shin. The atmosphere grew tense. "Don't tell me you're really just an inanimate object?" Shin asked. He honestly didn't know if the Shinigami possessed independent thought or if it was merely a puppet-like entity. The Shinigami didn't answer. Instead, it moved. The short blade clenched in its teeth appeared in its hand, and it lunged towards Shin. "You want to fight me? Are you really that confident?" Shin's eyes transformed, the 9-Tomoe Tenseigan activating. Immense ocular power manifested as a tangible blade, blocking the Shinigami's attack. As Shin revealed his Tenseigan, the Shinigami's usually unchanging face flickered with a subtle change. Shin noticed it but paid it no mind. Since it dared to attack him, it would have to pay the price. Using his ocular power and mental energy, Shin formed an invisible blade and severed one of the Shinigami's arms. Despite losing an arm, the Shinigami showed no sign of pain. It warily distanced itself from Shin. "Let's talk. What's your connection to the Otsutsuki clan? Don't tell me there isn't one. I sense 6 paths level power within you." Shin held back from attacking further. He wanted to chat with the Shinigami. He had previously suspected it was just a puppet, but the fleeting expression shift suggested otherwise. Of course, he couldn't be entirely sure. Even if it was just a controlled puppet, Shin could still converse with the entity pulling the strings. At the mention of the Otsutsuki clan, the Shinigami visibly reacted, its dark eyes fixed intently on Shin. "How do you know about the Otsutsuki clan?" The Shinigami's raspy voice finally sounded. Records of the Otsutsuki clan had practically vanished from the shinobi world. People knew of the Sage of 6 Paths, but not his name. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The destruction of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon. "Was that your doing?" the Shinigami asked, not waiting for Shin's previous answer. "Before you question me, shouldn't you reveal your own name? Or do you lack the courage, hiding behind the title of Shinigami to deceive others?" Shin's calm tone held a sudden edge of disdain. He was deliberately provoking it, though he didn't know if the entity would take the bait. It was a simple taunt, easily seen through, but pride might make it fall for it. "I will remember you." The Shinigami spoke coldly, gave Shin one last deep look, and slowly faded away. Phew, that pressure was intense. After the Shinigami vanished, Kushina let out a breath, feeling much more relaxed. The Shinigami's presence had been immense, especially the pressure it exerted on the soul. "But Shin, it seems like the Shinigami has its eyes on you now. You have to be careful." Kushina warned Shin seriously. "It's got its eyes on me, and I've got my eyes on it too." Shin smiled faintly. He wouldn't tolerate being targeted, especially by such a dangerous entity. He'd have to eliminate it. "Let's see if it's really you, Hagoromo Otsutsuki." Shin suspected the Shinigami, or the one controlling it, was Hagoromo Yamatsu Hirasaka. Shin opened a spatial portal, pulled Kushina through, and they appeared in a strange, unique space. "Where's this?" Kushina asked, looking around curiously. "This is where the Shinigami returned. When I attacked it earlier, I left a mental imprint, allowing me to track it back to its base." Shin had used his mental energy attack to secretly mark the Shinigami. He had intentionally let it escape, otherwise, it wouldn't have gotten away. "Come out. Hiding is pointless, Hagoromo Otsutsuki." Just as he was about to search for the Shinigami, someone appeared. "Wrong. I am not my elder brother Hagoromo. I am Hamura Otsutsuki." Hamura Otsutsuki emerged from the shadows, his white Byakugan eyes fixed on Shin. "You're Hamura Otsutsuki?" Shin's face showed genuine surprise. He had been wrong. He'd always assumed the entity behind the Shinigami was Hagoromo, never considering Hamura. First, the Uzumaki clan were descendants of Hagoromo, not Hamura. How could their sealing techniques be connected to Hamura? Because of this, Shin hadn't considered Hamura. Furthermore, Shin had always assumed Hamura was dead. After all, when Shin wiped out the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, Hamura never appeared. Since you've come here, prepare to die. Your eyes will belong to me. Hamura's face twisted with greed. He was the one who created the Shinigami puppet. Through it, he knew the extent of Shin Uzumaki's ocular power. It surpassed his own. Even Hamura, an Otsutsuki, coveted Shin's eyes. Oh? Quite confident, aren't you? Do you really think you can defeat me? Shin looked at Hamura. The man seemed very sure of himself. Shin wondered where that confidence came from. This place is my domain. You're no match for me. No one is, except for my brother. And even he has to be cautious here. Hamura spoke with arrogant self-assurance. Surrender your eyes and pledge your loyalty, and I might spare your life. Wood-style, deep forest emergence. Kushina couldn't stand it anymore. Vast swaths of trees erupted, engulfing Hamura within the forest. Wood-style? A cute trick, but useless against me. Hamura's Byakugan transformed into the Tenseigan. The dense forest was instantly obliterated by a powerful repulsive force. Now I believe you truly are Hamura Otsutsuki. Shin looked at Hamura's Tenseigan. Only now did he truly believe Hamura's identity. He hadn't been entirely convinced before. Hagoromo could have impersonated his brother. But seeing the Tenseigan, there was no mistake. Of course, it didn't matter. Whether it was Hagoromo or Hamura, Shin had no intention of letting him live. You are the Uzumaki clan, correct? Tell me your name. Hamura addressed Shin with a condescending tone. I am Shin Uzumaki. Remember the name. It would be a tragic death if you didn't even know who killed you. Consider it a professional courtesy. You should be grateful. Chapter 302, Shin vs. Hamura Otsutsuki. Shin's words enraged Hamura Otsutsuki, his body trembling with fury. Oh? My name alone makes you tremble with excitement? You must be quite pleased. Shin continued to tease Hamura, feeling a sense of satisfaction. He disliked arrogant people who acted high and mighty. Die. Hamura vanished instantly, reappearing behind Shin, his fist wrapped in chakra, striking towards Shin. However, the attack passed harmlessly through Shin's body. Space-time ninjutsu? Hamura was surprised, but then remembered Shin had teleported here. Without space-time ninjutsu, reaching this dimension, an alternate space similar to Kamyu or Kaguya's dimensions, would be impossible. Impressive, for someone with such ocular power. It seems I need to get serious. Hamura's expression turned grave. Even in his anger, Hamura hadn't used his full strength before. He had looked down on Shin, deeming him unworthy. After Kaguya Otsutsuki was sealed, the only ones Hamura truly feared were his brother, Hagoromo, and the Otsutsuki clan even his mother had dreaded. This Otsutsuki clan wasn't the diluted bloodline Shin had wiped out on the moon. The true Otsutsuki clan members were mostly Six Paths level. Even Kaguya, after reading the God Tree fruit, had been wary of them. Hamura Otsutsuki, you do need to get serious. Otherwise, killing you so easily would be unsatisfying. Shin stated calmly. Hamura's face contorted with rage. I don't think I can interfere. Kushina said glumly. Just sensing their auras, Kushina knew she couldn't match their power. You don't need to, Kushina. Just watch from a distance. Compared to Six Paths level beings, Kushina's strength was still far inferior. It was natural she couldn't intervene. Alright. I won't get in your way. Kushina used the teleportation jutsu to retreat. Getting close to this battle would be dangerous, she wisely kept her distance. Hamura Otsutsuki, taste my unavoidable punch. Just letting you know beforehand. You can't dodge this. Shin unleashed his full aura, the terrifying pressure shaking the very dimension they were in. Hamura, previously composed, felt his pupils constrict. Shin's power was far greater than he'd anticipated. He had initially dismissed Shin as a harmless rabbit. Now, with Shin's power fully revealed, he realized Shin wasn't a rabbit. He was an all-devouring dragon. Shin clenched his fist and threw a lightning-fast punch towards Hamura's face. As Shin attacked, Hamura used his own space-time ninjutsu to instantly teleport away. He had created this dimension, after all. I told you. You can't dodge this. Hamura, who had just teleported away, reappeared instantly, his face meeting Shin's fist. The punch, powerful enough to shatter a mountain, sent Hamura flying thousands of meters, the force of the blow creating violent shockwaves throughout the dimension. If they were over the ocean, the sheer wind pressure from the punch could create monstrous tsunamis. Haven't used Tenmomai in a while. Still as broken as ever. Shin muttered to himself. Tenmomai and Yamatsu Hirasaka were the two dujutsu he gained upon awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan. He used Yamatsu Hirasaka frequently, but Tenmomai rarely, as it was usually unnecessary. Tenmomai allowed him to rewind time. It was the perfect counter to space-time ninjutsu. No matter how fast you teleported, Shin could simply rewind time to before you activated the technique. That was why Shin had said Hamura couldn't dodge. Honestly, with this dojutsu, Shin was practically unbeatable. Impressive durability for a 6th paths level being. Shin appeared instantly before the battered Hamura, looking down at him dispassionately. Hamura looked pathetic. Shin's punch had distorted his face, knocking out half his teeth. His features were completely twisted. Hitting someone in the face was generally frowned upon, but Shin felt it was warranted this time. With that level of strength, you think you can fight me? You want my eyes? You're not worthy. Shin looked down on Hamura, his voice filled with contempt. Shin Uzumaki, let me show you my true power. 9 truth-seeking orbs materialized behind Hamura Otsutsuki. His aura surged to its peak, even his injuries healing instantly. Though not a 10-tails Jinchuriki, 6 paths level beings possessed incredible vitality and regenerative abilities, rivaling those of the 10-tails Jinchuriki. Don't bother showing off. Anything you have, I have too. 12 truth-seeking orbs appeared behind Shin. More than Hamura possessed, making Hamura feel even more frustrated. 80 God's vacuum attack. Hamura gathered his ultimate 6 paths chakra into his palms and unleashed it in a barrage of countless fists. You know the 80 God's vacuum attack too? Shin was surprised for a moment, then figured it made sense. Hamura was Kaguya's son, knowing her ultimate taijutsu technique wasn't entirely unexpected. Taste your own attack. Takamagahara. This was the ultimate jujutsu born from the fusion of the Rinnegan and Tenseigan. It granted immunity to all attacks and reflected them back at the attacker. Even the ultimate taijutsu technique, the 80 God's vacuum attack, was no exception. It had no effect on Shin and was reflected back towards Hamura. The sky filled with massive chakra fists raining down on Hamura. He was utterly devastated. He couldn't believe his own attack was being turned against him. What kind of absurd ability is this? First, he'd been inexplicably punched in the face. If not for his 6 paths level durability, that punch would have killed him. Now, his ultimate taijutsu technique was being reflected back at him. This was unbelievably unfair. Hamura almost cursed out loud. But reality reminded him this wasn't the time for cursing. He had to deal with the incoming 80 God's vacuum attack. He knew the power of his own attack better than anyone. If it hit him, he wouldn't die, but it would definitely hurt. Hamura immediately used his truth-seeking orbs, forming them into a massive black shield to block the attack. Chapter 303, The Death of Hamura Otsutsuki. Truth-seeking orbs were incredibly versatile. Capable of offense, defense, and support, excelling in all aspects. Just now, Hamura Otsutsuki had used them to block the reflected 80 God's vacuum attack. However, while the orbs successfully defended against the onslaught, the shield they formed shattered in the process. Truth-seeking orbs could nullify ninjutsu, but this was a taijutsu attack. Though the orbs were destroyed, it wasn't a significant loss. Hamura himself possessed Kakemura. Even if the orbs were completely obliterated, he could recreate them. Sage Art, Super Great Ball Rasen Shuriken. Just as Hamura blocked the reflected attack, Shin hurled a massive Rasen Shuriken at him. This was Sage Art. Even truth-seeking orbs couldn't completely nullify it. Sage Art was one of the few powers capable of countering truth-seeking orbs. With no other option, Hamura channeled all his power into a repulsive force, attempting to counteract Shin's incoming attack. Shin didn't remain idle. With a wave of his hand, the truth-seeking orbs behind him transformed into the shape of a katana. Truth-seeking orbs could take various forms, turning into weapons was certainly possible. Sword Dart Secret Technique, Starfall Slash. With a single slash, the blade tore through Hamura's defenses, splitting both Hamura and the very dimension in two. That attack is insane. Kushina, watching from afar, felt her mouth twitch. The destructive power was staggering. Even though she had mastered wood-style Sage Art, Shin's single strike seemed unbelievably powerful. Is that even humanly possible? Kushina thought Shin was no longer human. No ordinary human could possess such strength. Starfall Slash. A technique capable of shattering stars. It was Shin's ultimate sword dart secret technique, honed over 20 years, capable of cleaving worlds apart. What a terrifying attack. But it's not enough to kill me. Hamura Otsutsuki reappeared, looking at Shin with extreme caution. Shin wasn't surprised that Hamura wasn't dead. More accurately, Hamura's physical body was dead, but he continued to exist in another form. Similar to how Hagoromo Otsutsuki appeared in the original story, as a being of pure chakra. If Hamura had possessed a physical body before, he was now purely chakra energy. You're hard to kill. Shin scratched his head, feigning annoyance, though he wasn't genuinely troubled. Hamura Otsutsuki, if I strike you again like that, do you think you'll survive? Shin asked. You should know it's useless against me. Hamura replied calmly. He was composed now. Although he admitted he wasn't Shin's match, he believed Shin couldn't truly kill him either. Just like the tailed beasts, as long as their chakra existed in the world, they essentially couldn't die, they would eventually revive. Hamura was in a similar state. As long as his chakra remained, even if killed, he could revive after some time. Yes, the Starfall Slash is powerful, but truly killing you seems impossible. However, if I were to obliterate your will, do you think you could still revive? Shin asked Hamura with a sudden smile. Instantly, Hamura's expression changed. If his will was destroyed, he would be truly dead. It was similar to the relationship between Naruto Uzumaki and Azura Otsutsuki. Though Naruto was a reincarnation of Azura's chakra, they weren't the same person. Azura himself was long dead, his chakra didn't contain his will. Can you do that? Hamura didn't believe Shin could. He doubted even his brother or mother could achieve such a feat. Why don't you see for yourself? Shin said with a confident smile, making Hamura uneasy. He immediately tried to flee. Don't even think about running. I've sealed this space with Fu in Jutsu. Honestly, even if I don't kill you, I can trap you here forever. Hamura trying to escape? How naive. Since Shin had decided to eliminate him, he wouldn't let him get away. If Hamura escaped, Shin might be fine, but Mikoto, Kushina, and the others wouldn't be safe. Therefore, Hamura Otsutsuki had to die. Ding. System mission issued, eliminate Hamura Otsutsuki. Reward, 1 divine replication card. As Shin resolved to kill him, the system issued a mission. Shin accepted it readily. Looks like you have another reason you absolutely must die. He was going to kill Hamura anyway, now there was an added incentive. Wait. Perhaps we can cooperate. There's no need for a fight to the death. Hamura started to panic, unable to escape. Shin's confident demeanor truly frightened him, he feared Shin actually possessed a way to kill him permanently. You're thinking too much. A fight to the death? That doesn't exist between us. Shin looked at Hamura with contempt. You want a life or death struggle with me? You overestimate yourself. Kodo Mitsukami, Radiance. Shin pulled Hamura's consciousness into a Genjutsu space, then completely annihilated his spirit. Hamura tried to resist, but his mental power was vastly inferior to Shin's. In the end, his spirit was effortlessly extinguished without any resistance. With the spirit, the soul gone, he was truly dead. This Genjutsu technique is truly broken. Shin couldn't help but remark. This technique was inspired by Shizue's ultimate move in the games, a different application of Kodo Mitsukami, amplified by Shin's immense mental energy. The real Shizue couldn't perform this version. Congratulations, Master. Mission complete. You have received 1 divine replication card, gaining another divine replication card put Shin in an excellent mood. And his rewards didn't end there. He also obtained a pair of Tenseigan. Shin descended, his gaze falling upon Hamura's bisected corpse, split by the Starfall Slash. You coveted my eyes? Now, yours are mine. Without hesitation, Shin plucked out Hamura's eyes and carefully preserved them. During his battle on the moon with Otsutsuki Ryuju's Tenseigan had been destroyed in the fight, much to Shin's disappointment at the time. So this time, Shin had deliberately avoided destroying Hamura's corpse entirely, precisely to obtain these Tenseigan. Honestly, these eyes were useless to Shin himself. However, just because he couldn't use them didn't mean others couldn't. He could potentially extract the Tenseigan's ocular power and use it to help Hinata awaken her own Tenseigan, or perhaps even help Mikoto evolve her eyes into the Rinnegan. Chapter 304, Getting Away with It. The fight's over? Are you hurt? Kushina rushed over as soon as the battle concluded, asking Shin anxiously. Do I look hurt? Shin asked Kushina with a smile. Not only was he unscathed, but his clothes were also completely spotless. Now I have a better understanding of my own combat strength. I can completely dominate 6th level opponents. Although Shin had been confident in his abilities before, he hadn't known exactly how strong he was, lacking a proper benchmark. Easily dispatching Hamura Otsutsuki confirmed his power. He had likely surpassed the standard 6th level. During the fight with Hamura, Shin hadn't even used his full strength, let alone gotten serious. Honestly, I was hoping for a more intense battle. But my strength just doesn't allow for it. Shin wore a look of helplessness. I think you're just showing off. Kushina said, giving him an icy right through you look. Although Shin looked helpless, Kushina saw it as pure showing off. How could that be? I'm a modest person, I'm genuinely looking for a worthy opponent, but alas, there are none. Let's get out of this creepy dimension. By the way, what about the Shinigami? Kushina suddenly remembered the Shinigami. Don't worry about the Shinigami. It's just a tool now. Shin said, shaking his head. Hamura Otsutsuki had controlled the Shinigami, it was essentially his puppet. With Hamura dead, the Shinigami was just a masterless tool. Of course, Shin had his own reasons for not eliminating the Shinigami. He'd leave it as bait. Perhaps it could lure out Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The chances were slim, but not zero. So, he'd let the Shinigami remain. Let's go. Shin used Yamatsu Hirasaka, taking Kushina away from Hamura's dimension. They reappeared directly in the land of whirlpools. Well, look who decided to come back. We thought you two might never return. Tsunade greeted Shin and Kushina sarcastically. Getting chewed out by Tsunade was expected. Both Shin and Kushina had anticipated this upon their return. After all, they had been gone for quite some time, it would be strange if Tsunade and the others weren't resentful. Mikoto wasn't even acknowledging Shin and Kushina. Even Kona turned her head away, clearly upset. Maître Mami was also full of resentment. She also regretted not being able to go with Shin and Kushina. It would have been nice to travel freely with them for a few days. Actually, we had some important business. I encountered a powerful enemy and fought for 7 days and 7 nights before finally defeating him. Shin decided to use the Hamura Otsutsuki he killed as an excuse, exaggerating Hamura's strength to get himself off the hook. Kushina's mouth twitched slightly hearing Shin's explanation. But Kushina wasn't foolish enough to expose Shin's lie. Really? Tsunade looked at Shin skeptically. Of course. Kushina can vouch for me. If you don't believe me, ask her. Shin said, pointing at Kushina beside him. Kushina vouching doesn't count. You two are probably in cahoots. Maître Mami interjected. Tsunade and Mikoto nodded in agreement. If Kushina was the witness, they wouldn't believe it. Alright, if Kushina can't vouch, then these eyes should be proof enough. Shin took out his spoils of war. Hamura's Tenseigan. And showed them to Mikoto, Tsunade, and the others. Such powerful ocular energy. Mikoto stared at the Tenseigan floating in the saline bottle. Even through the glass, she could feel its immense power. Her own eternal Mangekyo Sharingan paled in comparison. Shin, you really encountered a strong enemy? Are you alright? Mikoto asked Shin with concern. Shin, are you injured? Conan immediately ran over, examining Shin closely. Hinata grabbed Shin's hand, looking at him worriedly. Shin-sama, would you like a bite? It can heal you. Karen Uzumaki offered her arm earnestly. Ahem, thank you, Karen. But I'm not injured. Even if Shin was injured, he could use Tenmomai to rewind time to before he was hurt. Shin, those eyes are. Tsunade asked Shin, puzzled. Don't you recognize them? Remember Otsutsuki Ryujuk on the moon? They're the same as his eyes. These are the Tenseigan. Shin explained to Tsunade. Don't tell me you've already forgotten what the Tenseigan looks like. We didn't get a good look last time. Tsunade said, rolling her eyes at Shin. Last time, Tsunade and the others hadn't paid much attention. However, Tsunade did notice a slight resemblance to Shin's eyes. That was normal. Shin's eyes were a fusion of the Tenseigan and Rinnegan. They had just evolved further later, gaining Tomoe. Tenseigan. Who was the strong enemy you fought? Mikoto asked Shin curiously. Wait, what's the Tenseigan? Maître Mami raised her hand, looking completely lost. She knew about the 3 great Dujutsu, Sharingan, Byakugan, and Rinnegan, but nothing else. The Tenseigan is the evolution of the Byakugan, on the same level as the Rinnegan. As for who Shin fought, it was Hamura Otsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths brother. Before Shin could answer, Kushina jumped in and explained for him. Shin was happy to let her. At the same time, Shin breathed a sigh of relief internally. He had successfully diverted the topic. The issue of him and Kushina being gone for so long had been brushed aside. He had gotten away with it. Kushina secretly gave Shin a thumbs up. Shin saw Kushina's discreet thumbs up but remained composed, not showing excessive pride. Pride comes before a fall. Shin understood this principle. He couldn't get too complacent, getting too cocky could lead to trouble. Chapter 305, Handling the Tenseigan. Shin looked at the Tenseigan floating in the saline bottle, considering how to use it. Can the Tenseigan's ocular power help Mikoto's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan evolve into the Rinnegan? Shin wasn't sure if it would work. Although the Rinnegan and Tenseigan likely shared a common origin, who really knew the specifics? I was able to fuse the Tenseigan and Rinnegan into the Rin Tenseigan. So, using the Tenseigan's power to help Mikoto awaken the Rinnegan? It should be possible. Shin felt the probability was high. Whether it was the Byakugan, Sharingan, Rinnegan, or Tenseigan. Their ocular powers were fundamentally the same, just differing in quality and strength. Since it seemed feasible, he decided to try it. Even if it failed, with him around, nothing could go wrong. Having made his decision, Shin went to find Mikoto. She wasn't at home but at the training ground, currently guiding Karen's training. Karen was fortunate, having Kushina, Mikoto, Tsunade, and Conan all instructing her. Her starting point was leagues above most. "Mikoto, come here for a second." Shin called out to Mikoto upon arriving at the training ground. Mikoto, who had been sitting and observing Karen's practice, stood up and walked over to Shin. "Shin, what is it?" Mikoto asked curiously. "Something important." "Something very important." Shin's mysterious expression piqued the curiosity of Kushina, Tsunade, and the others, who also came over. "Stop being mysterious and just tell us," Kushina said. "This concerns Mikoto, not you," Shin said, rolling his eyes at Kushina. He then took out the Tenseigan and showed it to Mikoto. "Mikoto, I plan to extract the Tenseigan's ocular power and seal it into your eyes. I want to see if it can evolve your Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan." "Evolve the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan?" Mikoto was slightly surprised, but then not overly concerned. She wasn't particularly obsessed with pursuing strength. The evolution of the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is the Rinnegan. "Does that mean Mikoto's eyes will evolve into the Rinnegan?" Tsunade asked. "I can't guarantee it. But at the very least, it will enhance the ocular power of Mikoto's Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. There's no harm, only benefit." Since it was all upside, giving it a try seemed worthwhile. Besides, even if this didn't work, Mikoto might still awaken the Rinnegan on her own in the future. After all, she now possessed both the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the perfect sage body. The chances of awakening the Rinnegan under these conditions were high, possibly even easier than it was for Madara Uchiha. "What do I need to do?" Mikoto asked Shin. "You don't need to do anything, Mikoto. I'll handle it." Shin took out one Tenseigan. Extracting its ocular power was an operation Shin believed only he could perform. The extraction process was time-consuming. It took Shin over 10 minutes to complete. Afterward, the Tenseigan was completely depleted and useless. Shin didn't feel bad about it. As long as it served its purpose, destroying it was acceptable. He then used a sealing technique to seal the ocular power into Mikoto's eyes. Mikoto closed her eyes, feeling a cool sensation spread through them. Her Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan activated, but it didn't evolve further. "No change?" Conan observed Mikoto's eyes. "Of course there's no change yet. I sealed the power within Mikoto's eyes. She needs to slowly absorb and integrate it. Only after Mikoto fully absorbed the ocular power would they know the result." "What about the other Tenseigan? Aren't you going to extract its power and seal it in Mikoto's eyes too?" Kushina asked, pointing at the remaining eye in Shin's hand. "No need. The power of one Tenseigan should be enough for Mikoto. The Tenseigan's power is just a catalyst for potential evolution." Shin looked at the remaining Tenseigan. He had other plans for this one. His gaze shifted towards Hinata. Honestly, the Tenseigan's power was likely more compatible with Hinata. "I'll seal the power of this remaining Tenseigan into Hinata's eyes," Shin said, patting Hinata's head. "Hinata?" "Right, Hamura Otsutsuki is technically Hinata's ancestor." Tsunade nodded. Then she gave Shin a strange look. Thinking about it, he actually killed her ancestor. Shin ignored Tsunade's peculiar stare and extracted the ocular power from the second Tenseigan. Having done it once, this time was noticeably faster. He sealed the Tenseigan's power into Hinata's Byakugan, allowing it to slowly nourish her eyes. Whether they would eventually evolve into the Tenseigan, Shin couldn't guarantee. He wasn't omniscient, the future was uncertain. But it would definitely benefit her, with no downsides. "If Mikoto evolves the Rinnegan, does that mean I won't be able to beat her anymore?" Kushina couldn't help but ask. "That's highly probable. If Mikoto awakens the Rinnegan, you really won't be her match." Shin confirmed with a nod. Nagato Uzumaki wielded transplanted Rinnegan and could unleash immense power. Mikoto's own awakened Rinnegan would undoubtedly surpass Kushina's current strength. "Damn it. Dujutsu are so broken," Kushina grumbled. Maitru Mama and Tsunade nodded in agreement. Compared to other abilities, Dujutsu were incredibly powerful. Even the seemingly weakest, the Byakugan, held considerable potential. "You can't just envy it," Shin told them. He couldn't help them acquire Dujutsu. "It's not like I'm envious. I'm strong enough as I am," Kushina said confidently. "You say you're not weak, but I can practically feel the envy radiating off you," Shin teased Kushina. "Ah. Shin, you're asking for a beating." Kushina, flustered and angry, started chasing Shin. The others were already used to this. They almost felt something was missing if Shin and Kushina didn't chase each other around for a bit. "Let's go continue guiding Karen's training," Mikoto suggested. With so many instructors, Karen was progressing rapidly. Driven by her goal to repay Shin by being helpful, she trained diligently. Though she didn't yet know how she could possibly assist Shin. He seemed to need nothing. She dedicated herself to getting stronger. Chapter 306, This child must not be allowed to live. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. In Hidden Leaf Village, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Denzo Shimura were holding a meeting. Besides Denzo, Koharu Utatane and Hamura Midokado were also present. It was a private meeting involving only the 4 of them. Other Hidden Leaf Village higher-ups were not invited. These 4 were the true core of Hidden Leaf Village's leadership. Decisions made by them held absolute authority, no one else could override them. The topic of this meeting was the Uchiha clan. 3 years had passed since the Hyuga clan's defection. Hidden Leaf Village hadn't taken any significant action against the defected Hyuga, mainly because Hiruzen was wary of Shin Uzumaki's involvement. The fact that the Hyuga clan had successfully defected and faced no repercussions for 3 years had unsettled the Uchiha clan. Fugaku Uchiha had initially hoped that the Hyuga incident would prompt Hiruzen to appease the Uchiha and treat them better. Instead, the suppression continued. The Uchiha clan felt increasingly marginalized. Their resentment towards Hidden Leaf Village reaching a boiling point. Subtle movements and unrest were brewing within the clan. As the Uchiha clan resided within Hidden Leaf Village, their actions, no matter how secretive, couldn't escape Hiruzen's notice, especially since he was already monitoring them closely. Let's hear your thoughts. How should we handle the Uchiha clan? Hiruzen took a deep breath and asked Denzo and the 2 elders. Hiruzen, is there even a choice? Annihilating the Uchiha clan is the only path forward now. Denzo said, a ruthless glint in his eye. I agree with Denzo. The Uchiha clan is a cancer. Leaving them be will only endanger Hidden Leaf Village. Hamura Midokado immediately concurred, with Koharu Utatane nodding in agreement. Hiruzen remained silent, deep in thought, weighing the pros and cons. The Uchiha clan was indeed a threat, but they were also a crucial asset to Hidden Leaf Village. Annihilating them wouldn't be easy. Hiruzen, what are you hesitating for? The Uchiha are practically plotting open rebellion. What concerns could you possibly have now? Denzo slammed his hand on the table and stood up angrily. This was the perfect opportunity to eliminate the Uchiha, something Denzo had long desired but lacked justification for. Now, the justification had practically fallen into his lap. How could he let this chance slip by? Denzo, have you considered the consequences? Hiruzen looked up, his gaze serious. It wasn't that Hiruzen didn't want to eliminate the Uchiha. He couldn't tolerate any threat to Hidden Leaf Village. Except, perhaps, for Denzo himself. However, the cost of destroying the Uchiha clan was too high. They were powerful, far stronger than the Hyuga. During the Third Shinobi World War, though the Uchiha had suffered losses fighting against Hidden Mist Village, the survivors were all elites. The Uchiha grew stronger through battle. The life and death struggle was the ultimate catalyst for awakening the Sharingan. Even though their numbers were diminished, their combat strength was immense. In terms of pure clan power, who in the current Shinobi world could compare to the Uchiha? Unlike Denzo, Hiruzen had to consider the bigger picture. Denzo was solely focused on destroying the Uchiha. Knock, knock, knock. Lord Hokage, Shizue Uchiha requests an audience. Shizue Uchiha stood outside the door, waiting for Hiruzen's response. Denzo's face instantly darkened. This is a closed-door meeting. What is he doing here? Denzo, I asked Shizue Uchiha to come. Hiruzen informed Denzo. What? Denzo, Hamura, and Koharu were all taken aback. Shizue, come in. Hiruzen didn't explain further, simply allowing Shizue to enter. Greetings, Lord Hokage, Lord Denzo, elders. Shizue entered and bowed respectfully. His etiquette was flawless, leaving Denzo with no room for criticism, though he still snorted coldly. Hiruzen, what is the meaning of bringing an Uchiha to this meeting? Denzo questioned Hiruzen bluntly. Shizue will resolve the conflict between Hidden Leaf Village and the Uchiha clan. If possible, I don't want conflict. After all, the Uchiha clan is part of Hidden Leaf Village. Hiruzen stated. Denzo sneered. Resolve the conflict? Does he even have that kind of power? Denzo looked contemptuously at Shizue Uchiha. Although Shizue was the Uchiha clan's strongest, he wasn't the clan head. His reputation within the clan was high, but he couldn't command the entire clan. Yes. With these eyes, Shizue Uchiha activated his Mengekyo Sharingan. My Mengekyo Sharingan Dujutsu is called Kodo Umatsukami. It can permanently and completely alter a person's thoughts and will. I can use Kodo Umatsukami to change the clan head's mind. Was Shizue Uchiha naive? Revealing his Mengekyo Sharingan ability so openly. After Shizue spoke, everyone, including Hiruzen, drew a sharp breath. This was the first time Hiruzen had learned of Shizue's specific ability. This child must not be allowed to live. Hiruzen thought grimly. Even knowing Shizue was loyal to Hidden Leaf Village, his dujutsu was too dangerous. Hiruzen himself felt threatened. What if he uses Kodo Umatsukami to alter their thoughts and will? Especially since Shizue hadn't mentioned any drawbacks to the technique. Shizue Uchiha was unaware that revealing his ability had just signed his death warrant. Even Hiruzen wanted him dead now, let alone Denzo, Hamura, and Koharu. However, they were all cunning old foxes. Even if they wanted Shizue dead, they didn't show it. I have faith in Shizue. He can change Fugaku's mind. Hiruzen said, expressing his confidence in Shizue. Let's see what you can do. Denzo stood up, giving Shizue Uchiha a deep look, a greedy glint hidden in the depths of his eyes. Shizue Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan was very powerful, how could Denzo not covet it? Denzo even dreamed of using this Mangekyo Sharingan to seize the Hokage position. If the ability was truly as potent as Shizue claimed, becoming Hokage wouldn't be impossible. He just needed to control Hiruzen and make him relinquish the Hokage position. Chapter 307, Denzo attacks Shizue Uchiha. Shizue Uchiha left the meeting room, his expression troubled. As an Uchiha, he was acutely aware of the escalating tension between his clan and Hidden Leaf Village. It seems only my eyes can resolve this conflict. Shizue sighed inwardly. But doing so meant betraying his clan head. His plan was to use Kodo Umatsukami to alter Fugaku Uchiha's will, forcing him to be loyal to Hidden Leaf Village. Only then could the conflict be temporarily suppressed. If the clan had abandoned his rebellious thoughts and remained loyal, the rest of the clan wouldn't dare stir up trouble. The clan head could keep them in line. I need to talk to Itachi. Shizue decided to find Itachi Uchiha. Shizue was like a mentor and friend to Itachi. Honestly, having decided to use his power on Itachi's father, Shizue felt a pang of guilt towards his friend. Just as Shizue was about to head towards the Uchiha compound, someone bumped into him, dropping a piece of paper at his feet. He glanced back, but the person who bumped him had already vanished. Shizue hesitated for a moment, then picked up the note. After reading it, Shizue frowned. Lord Denzo invites me to discuss the Uchiha clan matter. He had just met Denzo. Why the sudden invitation? Shizue couldn't figure it out. Perhaps he wants to discuss something privately. Shizue decided to go. He didn't sense any danger. What danger could there be within Hidden Leaf Village? Although he knew Denzo wasn't a good person, Shizue didn't believe Denzo would attack him inside the village. Changing his plans, Shizue headed towards the meeting place Denzo had specified. The location was an abandoned training ground in a remote part of Hidden Leaf Village. Shizue didn't find anything unusual about it. It wasn't that Shizue wasn't smart, he simply hadn't considered the possibility of foul play. Strange, why is no one here? Shizue arrived at the designated spot but found it empty. He decided to wait. After waiting for about half an hour, Denzo finally arrived, accompanied by several root ninja. Lord Denzo, you wanted to discuss the Uchiha clan matter with me? Indeed. I don't think you can resolve the Uchiha clan issue. Denzo stated flatly. Shizue immediately became anxious. Lord Denzo, please trust me. I definitely have the ability. He pleaded. Denzo slowly walked closer to Shizue. Shizue Uchiha, I do not trust you. As he spoke, Denzo suddenly struck, moving with lightning speed, and gouged out Shizue's right eye. The distance was too close, and Shizue hadn't been on guard. When he realized Denzo was attacking, his body felt sluggish for a moment, preventing him from dodging. His eye was taken. Shizue let out a pained scream. Losing an eye was excruciating. Lord Denzo. Why? Shizue clutched his bleeding eye socket, blood seeping through his fingers. Shizue Uchiha, don't you realize your eyes are too dangerous? Such perilous abilities should be in my hands. Denzo said calmly. Didn't expect to see such a good show right after arriving in Hidden Leaf Village. Shin observed the scene from nearby. Denzo gouging out Shizue's eye. He'd stumbled upon it just after entering the village. Shin had come to Hidden Leaf Village because of the Uchiha clan situation. He knew from White Zetsu that Obito had arrived in Hidden Leaf Village. Based on the timeline, Shin deduced that the Uchiha massacre wasn't far off. Having been lazing around in the land of whirlpools for so long, Shin decided to come see the spectacle. Hoping perhaps for a different outcome for the Uchiha annihilation this time. Denzo's ruthless, snatching eyes like that. Shin muttered softly. Though Shin himself wasn't much better in terms of ruthlessness. Shizue Uchiha, hand over the other eye. Don't force my hand. Denzo had one eye, but he knew the Sharingan's true power could only be unleashed with both eyes. Susanoo, for example, required both eyes. Obito Uchiha, with only one eye, never used Susanoo. Kakashi was the one who eventually manifested its power. Never. I'll never give it to you. Denzo, you attacked a fellow Hidden Leaf Village ninja. Do you know the consequences if Lord Hokage finds out? Shizue roared furiously. Consequences? No one will know I killed you. Denzo replied calmly. Since he dared to attack Shizue, he had naturally made thorough preparations. He had poisoned the area beforehand with a colorless, odorless gas. That was why he had made Shizue wait for so long. To ensure he absorbed enough poison. The reason Shizue felt sluggish and couldn't dodge earlier was because he had been poisoned. Attack! Denzo ordered the root ninja behind him. Shizue Uchiha had to die. Don't damage his Sharingan. Denzo added. If the Sharingan was destroyed, this operation would be a huge loss. Denzo's subordinates attacked. Shizue wouldn't just stand there and wait to die. He drew his ninja sword from his back and blocked one of the root members' attacks. Shizue, wielding his sword, was pushed back by an opponent using only a kunai. His body felt weak, unable to exert its full strength, and even mobilizing chakra was difficult. Denzo, you poisoned me? Shizue realized what had happened. Denzo must have poisoned him, otherwise, his condition wouldn't be like this. Denzo ignored Shizue, secretly looking for an opportunity to strike and finish him off quickly. Although this place was remote, it was still within Hidden Leaf Village. If Hiruzen Sarutobi discovered this, it would be troublesome. Denzo wasn't afraid of facing Hiruzen after Shizue was dead, but he feared Hiruzen intervening before Shizue was dead. Wind style, vacuum wave, Shizue, surrounded by root ninja, reacted quickly. As Denzo launched a ninjutsu attack, Shizue instantly blocked it, using the force of the impact to propel himself backward. Shizue intended to use this opportunity to escape. He absolutely could not let his other eye fall into Denzo's hands. Denzo was ambitious. If his eyes fell into Denzo's possession, who knew what terrible things Denzo might do? Shizue Uchiha lived up to his title Shizue of the Body Flicker. His speed was incredible. In an instant, his figure vanished. After him. Kill Shizue Uchiha at all costs. Denzo ordered, his face grim. He hadn't expected Shizue to escape under these circumstances. Chapter 308, Shizue's death. Shizue fled desperately. Poisoned, he couldn't fight Denzo's subordinates effectively, making even escape difficult. Shin watched but didn't intervene. It wasn't his nature to interfere in matters that didn't concern him, unless the person involved was someone he found interesting. Shizue Uchiha didn't qualify. Despite the poison and pursuit by Denzo and elite root ninja, Shizue managed to escape. He was severely injured, covered in dozens of cuts and bruises from the brief exchange. Denzo. I never thought you'd attack a fellow villager. Shizue clenched his fist, enraged. Even a son would be furious in this situation. He waited quietly. Soon, Itachi Uchiha arrived. Shizue, what happened? Itachi rushed over, alarmed by Shizue's condition and the missing guy. Itachi had been training when Shizue's crow delivered a message summoning him here. It was Denzo. Shizue didn't hide the truth from Itachi. I'll go find him. Itachi said coldly. Shizue was his mentor and friend. Their bond was stronger than the one Itachi shared with his own parents. Aside from his younger brother, Shizue was the person Itachi cared about most. Seeing Shizue like this, Itachi couldn't control his anger. Don't go after Denzo. It's useless. Shizue shook his head. Even if Itachi confronted Denzo, Denzo would deny everything. Telling the Hokage wouldn't help either. Itachi, I called you here to give you something. Shizue reached up and plucked out his remaining eye. Denzo took my right eye. Take this one. I hope you'll use it to protect the peace of Hidden Leaf Village. Shizue, what are you planning? Itachi asked, a sense of foreboding washing over him as Shizue handed him the eye. I hope my death will awaken the Uchiha clan. I hope they'll abandon their plans for a coup. Shizue planned to commit suicide, hoping that losing him, one of their strongest members, would make the Uchiha realize the disparity in strength between their clan and Hidden Leaf Village and give up their plans for rebellion. Itachi, one last gift for you. Shizue walked to the edge of the cliff, gave Itachi a faint smile, and then leaped into the river below. Itachi stood frozen, clutching the Mangekyo Shizue had given him, staring blankly at the spot where Shizue had disappeared. His own Sharingan unknowingly activated. The three Tomui spun rapidly, merging together, evolving into the Mangekyo Sharingan. This was Shizue's final gift to Itachi, helping him awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. Shizue. Itachi bowed his head in anguish. His best friend, his mentor, had killed himself right before his eyes. Like a walking corpse, Itachi numbly made his way back to the Uchiha compound. After Itachi left, Shin suddenly appeared, his gaze fixed on the river where Shizue had jumped. Universal pull, an invisible gravitational force erupted from Shin's hand, pulling Shizue's body from the river. This corpse still has some use. I'll borrow it for a while. Shin took Shijue's body and vanished. Obito, long time no see. Hidden within Hidden Leaf Village. Obito startled and spun around, looking behind him. Shin Uzumaki? Obito frowned. How did he find him? Was it White Zetsu? Obito had long suspected White Zetsu was a double agent, frequently leaking information. Perhaps Shin knew his whereabouts because of White Zetsu. Indeed, White Zetsu had told Shin that Obito was in Hidden Leaf Village. But finding Obito now was Shin's own doing. You don't seem very happy to see me, Shin said with a faint smile. Obito refocused his thoughts. He resolved that any future actions would be kept secret from White Zetsu. What is your purpose in Hidden Leaf Village? You didn't come just to find me, did you? Obito asked Shin. Honestly, if possible, Obito preferred not to interact with Shin. Shin's power exceeded his own, facing Shin made Obito feel insecure. Thus, Obito felt a strong aversion towards Shin. Anyone would be wary of someone stronger than them, especially when their intentions were unknown. I came to watch the upcoming show. And you? Shin looked at Obito. Shin already knew Obito's purpose. I saw someone suitable to join the Akatsuki. Obito's goal was to recruit Itachi Uchiha into the Akatsuki. Oh? Make sure you don't recruit a backstabber. Shin glanced at Obito. Itachi Uchiha was a double agent. Obito probably knew this, but Shin wondered what Obito was truly planning. Actually, I wasn't looking for you. I was looking for White Zetsu. Shin hadn't come here specifically for Obito, but for a White Zetsu clone. Coincidentally, one happened to be following Obito. Shin-sama, you were looking for me? White Zetsu asked respectfully, bowing and scraping. Seeing White Zetsu's subservient behavior, Obito felt a surge of anger. Why isn't White Zetsu ever like this with him? But considering the power difference between himself and Shin, he suppressed his feelings. Yes, White Zetsu, I was looking for you. But this time, I need you to make a small sacrifice, Shin said, smiling at White Zetsu. For some reason, seeing Shin's smile made White Zetsu feel uneasy, a sense of foreboding creeping into its core. Come with me, White Zetsu. Shin turned and walked away, ignoring Obito. White Zetsu, though apprehensive, didn't dare disobey Shin's command. Shin told him to follow, and White Zetsu wouldn't refuse. He cautiously followed behind Shin. But the further he followed Shin, the more dangerous he felt it became. What does he want with White Zetsu? Obito watched Shin's retreating back, pondering. Obito already considered Shin a potential enemy. He needed to analyze Shin's every move. Chapter 309, Summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. Shizue Uchiha. White Zetsu, I'm going to have to trouble you for a bit. Shin led White Zetsu to an open area and addressed it. No trouble at all. It's my honor to assist you, Shin-sama. White Zetsu declared, striking a pose of utmost devotion. Shin almost felt bad for what he was about to do. Don't worry, I'll remember you. But for now, I need you to serve as a sacrifice. What? Shin-sama, you want me to be a sacrifice? White Zetsu's composure shattered, its face twisting into a miserable expression. It seemed death was inescapable. White Zetsu didn't resist, it knew resistance was futile. It was just a lowly White Zetsu clone, lacking any real power. Of course, whether it was a clone or the original didn't matter much. Even if the main body died, the other White Zetsu could continue functioning. Shin retrieved Shizue Uchiha's corpse from the Kamyu dimension and instructed White Zetsu to possess it. White Zetsu had the ability to possess others, even corpses. Once White Zetsu possessed the body, Shin performed the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation technique, using White Zetsu as the vessel to revive Shizue Uchiha. Summoning, Impure World Reincarnation required a piece of the deceased's flesh as a medium. Shin used Shizue's entire corpse. Aren't I already dead? Shizue said. Yes, you were dead. Now you've returned, in a different state. Shin nodded calmly. Shizue immediately looked at Shin, his eyes widening in recognition. You're Shin Uzumaki. Indeed. You still recognize me. Honestly, not many in the shinobi world remember me anymore. That was true. Shin's name once struck fear into the hearts of children, but now, only the older generation of ninja truly understood his reputation. What is your purpose? Shizue activated his Mengekyo Sharingan, wary of Shin. It was strange, actually. A major flaw in the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. Shizue's eyes had been removed, yet the reanimated version possessed them. Similarly, Madara Uchiha, when reanimated in the original story, appeared in his prime, not as an old man. And Nagato Uzumaki, reanimated, still possessed the Rinnegan, even though they weren't originally his eyes. Even Shin, having learned summoning, Impure world reincarnation, couldn't explain this inconsistency. You ask my purpose? I wasn't going to tell you, but seeing as you're already dead. Poor thing. I'll let you in on it. Shen looked at Shizue with pity. With Shizue's strength, he should have been a prominent figure, yet he chose suicide. I just wanted to liven things up in Hidden Leaf Village. Don't you think it's gotten too quiet? You plan to attack Hidden Leaf Village? Shizue asked angrily. His loyalty to Hidden Leaf Village outweighed even his own life. Haru's and Saratobi's brainwashing skills were truly top tier. Even in death, I won't let you harm Hidden Leaf Village. Shizue used the fire style, Great Fireball, launching it at Shin. Young man, you're not worthy of fighting me. Shin watched the fireball calmly. It dissipated before even reaching him. Kodo Matsukami, seeing his ninjutsu fail, Shizue immediately used Kodo Matsukami. If he could alter Shin Uzumaki's will, make him protect Hidden Leaf Village, the village would surely be safe. Don't play tricks with Ganjutsu in front of me. It's useless. Shin shook his head. Shizue's spiritual power was far too weak compared to Shin's. Kodo Matsukami wouldn't affect him. Kodo Matsukami wasn't infallible. Against someone with significantly stronger spiritual power, it would fail. Ganjutsu, reversal, using his own ocular power, Shin reflected Shizue's Kodo Matsukami back onto him, forcibly altering Shizue's will. Shizue, who had been attacking Shin, froze, looked at Shin, then turned and left. Shin didn't stop him. His objective was achieved. Now, it was time to watch the show. Shin wasn't the protagonist in this drama, he was an outsider, or perhaps, the director. The reanimated Shizue, now under Shin's subtle influence, returned to the Uchiha compound step by step. Shizue. What happened to you? An Uchiha clansman stared in shock as Shizue walked in. His appearance was unnerving. The reanimated body was covered in cracks, looking like it could crumble at any moment. Take me to the clan head. Shizue instructed the clansman. Oh, all right. As the Uchiha clan's renowned top master, Shizue commanded respect. The clansman quickly led him to Fugaku. Fugaku Uchiha also noticed Shizue's strange condition immediately upon seeing him. Shizue, what happened to your body? Fugaku asked. Clan head, I am already dead. Shizue stated calmly, but his words stunned Fugaku. You're already dead? Fugaku frowned. If you're dead, then what are you now? Clan head, you must have heard of the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation technique? After I died, someone used summoning, Impure World Reincarnation to revive me. Shizue explained. Summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. I've heard of it. The forbidden jutsu developed by the second Hokage. Fugaku knew of the technique, though it was considered a secret. Shizue, how did you die? The details of the technique weren't important now. Fugaku needed to know how Shizue died. I was deceived by Denzo. He stole one of my eyes, then hunted me down, leaving me severely injured. In the end, I gave my remaining eye to Itachi and threw myself into the river. Shizue recounted the events to Fugaku. Fugaku clenched his fists tightly. Chapter 310, Fighting for the Uchiha clan. Learning how Shizue died, Fugaku Uchiha's expression turned grim. If possible, he truly didn't want to completely break ties with Hidden Leaf Village. But now, Denzo had dared to attack Shizue so brazenly. Fugaku, unless he was a complete fool, understood what that signified. Shizue, who used summoning, Impure World Reincarnation to revive you. Fugaku stared intently at Shizue. This question was crucial. If Shizue didn't answer, Fugaku couldn't rest easy. It was Shin Uzumaki. Shizue answered directly, without hesitation. Shin hadn't forbidden him from revealing this. Shin Uzumaki revived you using summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. What is his goal? Fugaku frowned, carefully analyzing Shin's possible motives. Fugaku didn't doubt Shizue's words. He felt only Shin Uzumaki would be capable of such a thing. He couldn't think of anyone else. Shin Uzumaki's motives aren't important right now. What matters is how the Uchiha clan will survive the coming disaster, Shizue said to Fugaku. Fugaku nodded. Speculating was useless. Even if they guessed Shin's intentions, what could they do? He knew his limits. Shin Uzumaki possessed power that made any hidden village wary. The Uchiha clan couldn't compare. Even their entire clan combined couldn't match Shin Uzumaki alone. Shizue, what are your thoughts now? Fugaku asked Shizue. Fugaku knew Shizue well, knew his deep love for the village. If forced to choose between the clan and the village, Shizue would undoubtedly choose the village. This was Fugaku's greatest dilemma. Shizue was the Uchiha's top fighter, but his loyalty wasn't solely to the clan. What leverage did Fugaku have against Hidden Leaf Village? To protect the honor of the Uchiha clan. To fight for the Uchiha clan. Shizue responded without hesitation, his gaze firm and unwavering. Looking at Shizue now, Fugaku almost thought he was looking at a different person. Perhaps this is related to Shinyu Uzumaki. Fugaku speculated inwardly. He had to admit, his guess was likely correct. Originally, the plan between myself and the third Hokage was to use Kodo Umatsukami to control you, make you loyal to Hidden Leaf Village, and resolve the conflict. Shizue suddenly revealed his original purpose, causing Fugaku's face to darken. Now, I only wish to protect the honor of the Uchiha clan, to fight for the Uchiha clan. I hope the clan head can trust me. Looking into Shizue's incredibly earnest eyes, Fugaku nodded. He chose to trust Shizue. If Shizue weren't sincere, he wouldn't have revealed such a thing. It probably won't be long before the third Hokage makes a move against the Uchiha clan. The clan head needs to prepare. And be wary of those who need worrying. Hearing Shizue's words, Fugaku frowned. Shizue, what do you mean? Itachi Uchiha. He is an obstacle, Shizue told Fugaku. To the current Shizue, Itachi was no longer his friend. Anyone who threatened the Uchiha clan was his enemy. Are you saying Itachi would betray the Uchiha clan? Fugaku asked Shizue, his heart heavy with complex emotions. Clan head, you should know his personality. No. When it comes to understanding him, perhaps you know Itachi better than I do. Fugaku shook his head. Due to his busy clan affairs, Fugaku didn't know Itachi as well as he should. Perhaps letting him join the Anbu back then was a mistake. Fugaku sighed. He shouldn't have let Itachi become a spy. Fugaku had sent Itachi into the Anbu to act as a spy, relaying information about Hidden Leaf Village as leadership. Joining the Anbu meant frequent contact with Hiruzen Sarutobi. But Fugaku hadn't expected Itachi to become a double agent, feeding the Uchiha useless intel while helping Hiruzen monitor the clan. Before joining the Akatsuki, Itachi Uchiha was a double agent. I will talk to Itachi. When do you think Hiruzen Sarutobi will move against the Uchiha clan? Fugaku asked Shizue. I don't know. Since the original plan failed, probably not long. Likely within these 2 days. With the plan to use Kodo Umatsukami on Fugaku thwarted, Hiruzen would surely resort to other means. I understand. Shizue. Stay here for now. As clan head, Fugaku had his own considerations. Fugaku then left to find his son, Itachi. Itachi, ever since he started training, had been Fugaku's pride and joy. But now, Fugaku couldn't help but wear a bitter smile. The bitter smile vanished quickly, replaced by his usual impassive expression as he walked towards Itachi's room. Arriving at Itachi's door, Fugaku pushed it open without knocking. He knew Itachi was home. Itachi sat inside, dazed, still reeling from the shock of Shizue's death. Father? Itachi looked up, his eyes somewhat vacant, as Fugaku entered. Itachi, I've made my decision. We launch the coup d'état tonight. Has there been any movement from Hiruzen Sarutobi's side? Fugaku sat down and asked Itachi. Instantly, Itachi's brow furrowed. Father, why must you launch the coup? Don't you know the consequences? Itachi asked angrily. Once Hidden Leaf Village and the Uchiha clan went to war, even if it ended in mutual destruction, other villages would surely seize the opportunity to attack the weakened Hidden Leaf Village. It could trigger another Shinobi World War. Consequences? The Uchiha clan is no longer in a position to consider consequences. Fugaku said calmly. Itachi was young and intelligent, possessing a grasp of the bigger picture. Did Fugaku not understand the potential fallout? If he wasn't pushed to the brink, would he, and the entire Uchiha clan, even consider such a path? Chapter 311, A Different Night of the Uchiha Massacre. Fugaku Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha ended their conversation in disagreement. Itachi stormed out of the room. Fugaku sighed, watching his son leave. In the end, he couldn't bring himself to kill his own kin. He had steeled himself for it when he came, but ultimately, he couldn't go through with it. Itachi, the next time we meet, we will be enemies. I will show no mercy to a traitor of the Uchiha clan. Fugaku resolved grimly. Meanwhile, Itachi, having left the Uchiha compound, went straight to the Hokage Tower and revealed the Uchiha clan's plan to launch a coup d'état that very night to Hiruzen Sarutobi. Lord Hokage, I will personally annihilate the Uchiha clan. But I have one condition, Sasuke must survive. Itachi was also prepared to kill his own kin, but his younger brother, Sasuke, was everything to him. He would protect Sasuke even with his own life. I will bear the burden of the massacre and join an S-rank missing ninja organization afterward. An S-rank missing ninja organization? You mean the Akatsuki? Hiruzen stood up. Unlike the relatively unknown Akatsuki of the original story, the current Akatsuki had already caused significant trouble. Especially with Kakazu killing Hiruzen's son, Hiruzen had naturally investigated them. Itachi nodded. In return, I will provide Hidden Leaf Village with intelligence about that organization. But I need you to guarantee my brother's safety. Hiruzen pondered for a moment, then nodded. Agreeing to Itachi's terms wasn't a bad deal. Sparing Sasuke Uchiha was insignificant in the grand scheme of things. What makes you think you can annihilate the Uchiha clan? Denzo Shimura asked flatly. Yes, Denzo was also present. Itachi glanced at Denzo, activating his Mangekyo Sharingan, his eyes filled with chilling killing intent. Are these eyes enough? Itachi stared at Denzo, looking as if he wanted to kill him. If not for his rationality, Itachi would have attacked Denzo right then and there to avenge Shisui. But his rationality prevailed, and Itachi held back. Itachi's personality was the complete opposite of Shin's. His overly rational nature made his life unnecessarily difficult. Shin, on the other hand, followed his heart, living freely and unrestrained, unlike Itachi, who burdened himself with such heavy pressures. Mangekyo Sharingan. Denzo looked at Itachi warily, but also greedily. If he had the chance, he would definitely take Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. After some discussion, Itachi left the Hokage Tower. Hiruzen sighed heavily. Hiruzen, mobilize the Anbu. I don't think Itachi Uchiha can wipe out the entire Uchiha clan alone. Denzo advised Hiruzen. This time, Hiruzen didn't reject Denzo's suggestion. He needed a contingency plan. If Itachi failed to eliminate the Uchiha, Hidden Leaf Village would have to step in. They needed to be fully prepared. An oppressive atmosphere settled over Hidden Leaf Village, a feeling of impending doom. Even the ordinary villagers felt uneasy, sensing something major was about to happen. Shin, however, was completely different from the tense villagers. He sat leisurely in a tavern, drinking sake. Looks like it's about to begin. Though sitting in the tavern, Shin had already noticed the unusual activity in Hidden Leaf Village, particularly the increased movement of Anbu Ninja. He bought 2 more jugs of sake from the tavern, then left, waiting for the show to start. This Uchiha massacre would definitely be different from the original story. Firstly, Shisui Uchiha, who should have been dead, had been revived by Shin using summoning, impure world reincarnation. Reanimated individuals had significant advantages. Infinite chakra, regeneration even from complete destruction. The only way to deal with unsummoning, impure world reincarnation summon was through sealing techniques. Furthermore, unlike the original story, the current Fugaku Uchiha wasn't passively waiting for death. He wouldn't just stand by and let his son kill him. Night fell. Shin arrived at the Uchiha compound. No one detected his presence. Unless Shin intentionally revealed himself, no one could find him. The clan head's residence. This is a good spot to watch the show. Shin stood on the roof of Fugaku Uchiha's house. The Uchiha compound was quiet, but the training grounds were bustling with activity. The Uchiha clan ninja had gathered there. Itachi alone can't defeat the Uchiha clan. Even with Obito Uchiha's help, it's impossible. Shin believed that even if Itachi enlisted Obito's aid, they couldn't annihilate the Uchiha clan. In the original story, Itachi succeeded for several reasons. It was largely a surprise attack, many Uchiha were asleep, Obito helped, and Fugaku didn't resist. Now, Itachi would have to face the Uchiha clan head-on. Even though the Uchiha clan had weakened, they were still the strongest clan, their strength not to be underestimated. Especially their Jonin and elite Jonin. The Uchiha had many, and most were elites. Since Shin had already intervened, he wouldn't let the Uchiha massacre follow the original script. Even if Hidden Leaf Village managed to destroy the Uchiha clan now, they would pay a heavy price, unlike the effortless annihilation in the original story. Hidden Leaf Village truly is plagued by disasters. Shin sighed dramatically. Then he touched his nose, realizing he probably shouldn't be the one sighing, considering some of Hidden Leaf Village's disasters were his fault. Has Itachi Uchiha returned? Shin looked towards the outskirts of the Uchiha compound. Even in the darkness, across such a distance, Shin could clearly see Itachi. Should I copy Itachi Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan? Shin considered it. Honestly, he wasn't interested in Itachi's specific Mangekyo abilities. What Shin was interested in were Itachi's 3 sacred treasures. Itachi's Susanoo possessed the Totsuka blade, the Yuta mirror, and the Yasaka Magatama. While the Yasaka Magatama could be used by any Susanoo, the Totsuka blade and Yuta mirror were exclusive to Itachi. They might not be that useful, but I might as well copy them. Shin didn't think these treasures would be particularly useful to him, but driven by his collector's instinct, he decided to copy them anyway. It would only cost 1 advanced replication card, Shin could afford it. He immediately used an advanced replication card to copy Itachi Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan. Chapter 312, Fatherly love and filial piety. Having copied Itachi Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan, Shin settled in to watch the unfolding drama. He knew it was going to be spectacular. He shifted his gaze from Itachi back to Fugaku Uchiha, who had gathered all the clan's ninja. No words were needed, they understood the situation. They had already held their council meeting. Tonight's battle determines the fate of the Uchiha clan. Fugaku Uchiha, clad in battle armor, addressed his clansmen. This truly was a fight for their survival. Failure meant the end of the Uchiha clan. Success meant taking control of Hidden Leaf Village. Driven by ambition and pushed to the brink, Fugaku had no other choice. Fight to the death for the Uchiha. Their thunderous roar echoed through the compound, reaching Itachi Uchiha as he stepped onto Uchiha grounds. His expression hardened. "Itachi, looks like there's some trouble," Obito Uchiha said, appearing beside Itachi. Without turning, Itachi knew who it was. The masked man claiming to be Madara Uchiha, who had approached him earlier. Whether he was truly Madara didn't matter to Itachi, what mattered was whether he could help. For the legendary Madara Uchiha, is this truly considered trouble? Itachi asked. Hey, while I agreed to help you, I also expect you to demonstrate strength worthy of my attention. Otherwise, I have no use for a worthless pawn. Obito chuckled coldly, then his form distorted and vanished. Itachi placed his hand on the katana strapped to his back, slowly drawing the blade as he walked resolutely towards the assembled clan. They're about to clash. I wonder what expression Itachi will make when he sees Shizui. Shin mused, a rare look of anticipation in his eyes. He was eager to see if Itachi could maintain his usual composure. Fugaku led his men forward, Itachi advanced towards them. Soon, father and son met. Father. Itachi looked at his father, his eyes filled with complex emotions, but he activated his 3 Tomoe Sharingan without hesitation. Itachi, you still chose this path? To stand against your family? Does the Uchiha clan hold nothing worth cherishing for you? Fugaku's disappointment was palpable. Though he had suspected this outcome, seeing Itachi truly choose to oppose them was still hard to accept. I apologize, father. This is for the village. Though young, Itachi's resolve was firm. Fugaku's words didn't sway him. Itachi. Just then, Shizui stepped out from the crowd, his gaze fixed on Itachi. Shizui. Impossible. Aren't you dead? Itachi finally lost his composure upon seeing Shizui. I did die. Now, I exist in a different form. Shizui said calmly, looking at Itachi. Now, we are enemies. I will show you no mercy. Itachi frowned. Enemies? He knew Shizui should be loyal to the village. Now, I fight only for the Uchiha clan. Shizui stated, unwilling to elaborate further. Why? Itachi desperately wanted a reason. He had never imagined facing Shizui like this. And how was Shizui alive? Itachi sensed a conspiracy. This is definitely not Shizui's true intention, Itachi thought. Shizui would never oppose Hidden Leaf Village. There is no why. We are enemies. Either you die, or I do. Shizui slowly drew his katana. Shizui, leave Itachi to me. Fugaku stopped Shizui. He would face his own son. Time for a touching scene of fatherly love and filial piety. Shin watched the father and son duo. This was shaping up to be quite the dramatic confrontation. Would the filial son Itachi achieve his Thanos-level goal this time? Under Shin's watchful gaze, father and son clashed. Since they stood on opposing sides, there was no need for further words. Fugaku hadn't tried to persuade Itachi further. Though he hadn't spent much time with Itachi, as a father, he understood some aspects of his son's personality. Once Itachi made up his mind, he couldn't be swayed. Clang. A kunai metakatana, sparks flying. Fugaku's superior strength forced Itachi back. At 13, Itachi couldn't match Fugaku in raw power, nor was strength his forte. Fire style, rage of sages, flame of phoenixes, Itachi formed hand seals rapidly. 6 seals per second. Spewing flames from his mouth that attacked Fugaku from all directions. Fugaku activated his 3 Tomoe Sharingan. The incoming flames appeared slowed several times over, allowing Fugaku to see their trajectory clearly. Dodging the attacks wasn't difficult. He weaved left and right, avoiding Itachi's assault while rapidly closing the distance. Itachi knew he couldn't win a direct confrontation with his father. He maintained distance, attacking with ninjutsu, engaging Fugaku in a running battle. Fire style, Great Dragon Fire technique, Fugaku formed hand seals while advancing, unleashing the B-rank jutsu. If it hit Itachi, it would undoubtedly kill him. Unless one reached 6 paths level, a ninja's body was fragile. A single kunai could be fatal, let alone a direct hit from a ninjutsu. Itachi channeled chakra to his right foot, stomped hard, and burst forward with incredible speed, twisting his body to evade the attack. The fire dragon slammed into the ground, leaving a large, scorched crater. Fugaku hadn't held back at all. Truly fatherly love and filial piety. I thought they might hold back a little. Shin observed the battle. Neither father nor son showed any mercy, every attack was aimed to kill. But it made sense. Itachi was determined to wipe out the Uchiha clan, so he wouldn't hold back. And Fugaku, as a father, couldn't tolerate his rebellious son. In a sense, Itachi truly was a great rebel, helping outsiders against his own people, including his blood relatives. Regardless of perspective, this was undeniably treachery. Chapter 313, Beyond Hiruzen Sarutobi's Control. Father, I'm sorry. Itachi Uchiha, after dodging another of Fugaku's attacks, activated his Mengekyo Sharingan. Tsukaimi, ordinary techniques were useless against Fugaku. Itachi had no choice but to use his Mengekyo Sharingan's power. He pulled Fugaku into the Tsukaimi's illusionary realm. A space where time, mass, and reality itself were under Itachi's complete control. Within the Tsukaimi world, Itachi was ruthless. He showed no mercy, binding Fugaku and repeatedly stabbing him with a sword. After enduring prolonged mental torture, Fugaku finally managed to break free using the power of his own Mengekyo Sharingan. As Fugaku escaped, Itachi suffered the backlash of the Genjutsu, blood tears streaming from his left eye. I didn't expect you to have awakened the Mengekyo Sharingan too, father. Itachi clutched his bleeding eye, staring at Fugaku in shock. He truly hadn't known. It wasn't surprising. Fugaku had kept his Mengekyo Sharingan a closely guarded secret, telling no one. In terms of strength, Fugaku Uchiha was definitely not weaker than Shizue Uchiha. Don't waste time here. I'll handle this later. Go to the Hokage Tower. Fugaku commanded the clansmen behind him, his face pale. The mental torture within Tsukaimi had taken a toll, leaving him spiritually wounded. Fortunately, he escaped quickly enough to avoid severe damage. Clan head, be careful. Shizue led the Uchiha ninja towards the Hokage Tower. Not a single Uchiha offered to stay and help Fugaku. This was a matter between father and son, they couldn't interfere. Just as Shizue led the clan out of the Uchiha compound, they were intercepted by Anbu ninja. Kill them. Shizue attacked first, demonstrating why he was known as Shizue of the Body Flicker. His figure flickered, appearing instantly before an Anbu ninja. His kunai slit the man's throat without hesitation. He continuously used his advanced teleportation jutsu. If he were alive, he would have to consider the strain on his body. Shizue's teleportation jutsu, while powerful, caused significant damage to the user with its explosive bursts of speed. However, Shizue was currently in his summoning, impure world reincarnation state. He didn't care about physical strain. Even if his body was destroyed, it would regenerate. With infinite chakra and immunity to fatal injuries, Shizue's strength was amplified considerably. Normally, reanimated individuals couldn't access their full power. But Shin's version of summoning, impure world reincarnation, allowed Shizue to fight at his absolute peak. Shizue showed the Anbu ninja the meaning of terror. Combined with the other Uchiha clansmen, they killed dozens of Anbu ninja in less than 3 minutes. Anbu members were not weak, only skilled ninja could join their ranks. Yet dozens had fallen in such a short time. Root ninja were also present, but seeing the Anbu being slaughtered, they remained hidden. Following Denzo's orders, they were cunning and wouldn't needlessly sacrifice themselves. Why is Shizue doing this? Is that summoning, impure world reincarnation? Hiruzen Sarutobi, observing the Uchiha compound through his telescope technique, couldn't sit still any longer. Dozens of elite ninja dead in an instant. Even Hidden Leaf Village, with its vast resources, couldn't afford such losses. Especially not now, when Hidden Leaf Village was arguably at its weakest since its founding. It was an era caught between generations. Not that Hidden Leaf Village lacked talent, it was a cradle of geniuses. Shizue Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha were prime examples. But one was dead, or so he thought, and the other was about to defect. Without them, Hidden Leaf Village relied solely on Hiruzen to hold the line. Kakashi Hatake, once a genius, had become disillusioned. Besides, the Sharingan was a burden for Kakashi, reaching Kage level would be difficult for him. He could hold his own against most opponents, but prolonged battles would inevitably lead to defeat. The typical Hidden Leaf Village's copy ninja, Kakashi of the Sharingan scenario. Hiruzen rushed towards the Uchiha compound, bringing a large contingent of ninja with him. Reinforcements were crucial, the situation had spun out of his control. Inform Denzo to come here immediately. Hiruzen ordered an Anbu ninja while en route. This was serious, Denzo had to come, even if Hiruzen had to issue a direct order. Otherwise, Hidden Leaf Village would suffer catastrophic losses. If Hidden Leaf Village was severely weakened internally, the consequences were predictable. Other ambitious villages wouldn't miss the opportunity to strike. Hiruzen soon arrived at the Uchiha compound, where the battle had escalated. Fugaku Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha had both activated their Susanoo. The towering, armored figures radiated immense power and pressure. Though not perfect body Susanoo, they were nearly as large as the Nine Tails. Hiruzen knew their destructive potential. Upon arriving, Hiruzen encountered Shizue Uchiha. Looking at Shizue, Hiruzen felt a complex mix of emotions. "Shizue, are you being controlled?" Hiruzen asked. He had suspected Shizue was in an unsummoning, impure world reincarnation state when observing him earlier. Seeing him now confirmed it. "Third Hokage, that doesn't matter. All you need to know is that I am your enemy," Shizue replied coolly. Summoning Jutsu, Inma, Hiruzen wasted no more words, summoning his monkey companion, Inma. Inma was one of the strongest summons, second only perhaps to the sages of the three big sage regions. Now only two, since Shin had eliminated the White Snake Sage. "Looks like another tough fight," Inma remarked upon appearing. Hiruzen wouldn't summon him otherwise. "Inma, I need your help again. Transform into the adamantine staff," Hiruzen said to Inma. Inma transformed without complaint, becoming the adamantine staff, which Hiruzen wielded as his weapon. "I'll deal with Shizue Uchiha. The rest of you, handle the other Uchiha clansmen," Hiruzen ordered the Anbu ninja accompanying him. He then attacked Shizue without hesitation. Against traitors, there was no mercy. Chapter 314, Who Can Withstand Constant Ultimate Attacks? Hiruzen Saratobi clashed with Shizue Uchiha, while the remaining Anbu engaged the other Uchiha clansmen. Meanwhile, Fugaku Uchiha was still locked in a dramatic father-son showdown with Itachi Uchiha. Their battle escalated, both unleashing the ultimate power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. The Susanoo, hailed as the power of gods. The sheer force of their clash ravaged the Uchiha compound, leaving destruction in its wake. Shin had already relocated, now floating high above, observing the battles below. "The moon is particularly bright tonight," Shin commented, glancing upwards. Though not a dark and stormy night, it was certainly a night for killing. The other clans must have been alerted by now. "I wonder if they'll intervene." The sheer scale of the battle, especially the clash between Fugaku and Itachi's Susanoo, sent shockwaves far and wide. If the other clans remained unaware after such commotion, they might as well be dead. Whether they would actually get involved, however, Shin couldn't say. Though most clans disliked the Uchiha, they might not necessarily kick them while they were down. Shizue Uchiha had already activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and manifested his Susanoo. Without it, Shizue truly couldn't contend with Hiruzen Saratobi. Despite Hiruzen's age, his combat prowess was formidable, especially with the enhancement provided by his summon, Inma. Hiruzen let out a sharp cry, leaping into the air with monkey-like agility, bringing his staff crashing down onto Shizue's Susanoo. Boom! The impact forced the Susanoo back several steps, the point of impact shattering completely. Shizue remained expressionless, channeling chakra and ocular power to repair a Susanoo's damage. In his summoning, impure world reincarnation state, chakra and ocular power consumption were irrelevant. Shizue could keep this up indefinitely. Hiruzen panted slightly. "This isn't working. He's too troublesome." He knew how difficult reanimated individuals were to deal with. Those brought back by summoning, impure world reincarnation could only be sealed. Hiruzen couldn't think of any other way to defeat Shizue. "Anbu, notify the sealing team," Hiruzen ordered, catching his breath before continuing to fend off Shizue's Susanoo attacks. The drill-like spiral sword thrust forward again. Hiruzen didn't dare block such an attack directly. As Hiruzen dodged, the attack struck the ground where he had stood, blasting open a crater dozens of meters wide. "This is giving me a headache." Hiruzen genuinely had no good counter for Susanoo, an ultimate technique combining offense and defense. If Shizue weren't reanimated, Hiruzen could simply outlast him. The chakra and ocular power drain of Susanoo was immense, even Kage-level shinobi couldn't maintain it for long. But trying to win a battle of attrition against and summoning, impure world reincarnation summon? Only an idiot would consider that. Boom. The chest armor of Shizue's green Susanoo opened, revealing an orange magatama suspended within. It unleashed countless verdant chakra arrows. This time, Shizue's target wasn't solely Hiruzen. Though Hiruzen was caught within the attack's radius. "Use defensive jutsu," Hiruzen shouted, then, ignoring the chakra cost, perform the Earth-style wall. This large-scale jutsu consumed a significant amount of chakra, even Hiruzen felt the strain. His chakra reserves were only average, not particularly vast. The jutsu was cast, but it couldn't hold. The first wave of arrows was blocked, but Shizue continued unleashing more. Each chakra arrow packed the explosive force of a paper bomb. Facing such a continuous barrage of powerful attacks, Hiruzen couldn't hold out. Who could withstand someone constantly spamming ultimate attacks? As expected of someone I reanimated. Truly impressive. Shin watched Shijue's display of power, unable to resist praising himself. When it comes to the summoning, Impure World Reincarnation technique, I declare myself the strongest. Currently, Shin was the only one in the shinobi world who knew summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. Orochimaru hadn't learned it yet. The defensive jutsu failed. Hidden Leaf Village's Anbu ninja began suffering casualties, the losses mounting rapidly. Being struck by a chakra arrow meant certain death or severe injury. Hiruzen, what's the situation? Denzo arrived at that moment. Hiruzen was somewhat surprised to see him here. Denzo, no time to explain. Help me hold off Shizue Uchiha. Hiruzen yelled to Denzo. Shizue Uchiha. Denzo looked towards Shizue in shock. His eyes are intact? Denzo, surprised to see me? Shizue looked at Denzo with hatred. Although Shin had altered Shizue's will, his memories remained untouched. It wasn't strange for Shizue to hate Denzo, it would be strange if he didn't. Denzo had stolen his eye and was the reason he committed suicide. Die. Yasaka Magatama, Shizue launched the Magatama, shaped like the Sharingan pattern, towards Denzo. This was one of Suzunu's true ultimate techniques. Its power surpassed S-rank ninjutsu. A direct hit would undoubtedly kill Denzo. However, Denzo wasn't just fodder. He had earned his reputation as the darkness of the shinobi through strength. Having been on guard, Denzo used the teleportation jutsu to dodge. As for Hiruzen standing beside him, Denzo didn't care about his fate. In fact, Denzo wouldn't mind if Hiruzen died. If Hiruzen died, the Hokage position would surely be his. Hiruzen, of course, wouldn't be killed so easily. Even Denzo could dodge in time, the stronger Hiruzen certainly could. Denzo, we have to hold off Shizue Uchiha together. Let the sealing team handle him. He's in an summoning, Impure World Reincarnation state. You should know what that means. Hiruzen said to Denzo. Denzo's eyes flickered. He naturally knew about summoning, Impure World Reincarnation. He even coveted the technique greatly, but unfortunately, he couldn't learn it. Meaning, Shizue Uchiha is already dead? Someone revived him? Who used summoning, Impure World Reincarnation to bring back Shizue Uchiha? Denzo asked Hiruzen. Hiruzen shook his head. He didn't know. But it definitely wasn't someone from the Uchiha clan. They didn't have access to this forbidden jutsu. Chapter 315, The Death of Fugaku Uchiha. Still chatting at a time like this? Do you really not take Shizue Uchiha seriously? Shin commented, watching Hiruzen and Denzo converse. Are they that confident in their strength? Shin mused. Looks like Shizue isn't posing enough of a threat. Should he raise the difficulty for them? Shin stroked his chin, considering whether to add more chaos to Hidden Leaf Village's situation. Fortunately, Hiruzen didn't know Shin's thoughts, otherwise, he might have coughed up blood from sheer frustration. Hidden Leaf Village was already barely holding on, increasing the difficulty would be disastrous. Perhaps sensing Hiruzen and Denzo's lack of focus, Shizue Uchiha couldn't stand it anymore and unleashed another ultimate attack. The Magatrauma in his Suzunu's chest pulsed again, releasing an even denser barrage of green chakra arrows than before. As the battle raged, Shizue became increasingly proficient with his Suzunu's power. Although he possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan, he hadn't used Suzunu often before. Aside from his fight with pain, he had always tried to avoid it due to the immense cost. Blindness and extreme physical strain. Denzo, stop discussing who revived Shizue. The most important thing now is to block his attacks. Hiruzen yelled, trying his best to protect the Hidden Leaf Village ninja. If he had time, Hiruzen would have liked to ask about the history between Shizue and Denzo. Shizue's earlier hateful roar towards Denzo clearly indicated a hidden story. And how did Shizue really die? There were too many unanswered questions. But Hiruzen had no time to interrogate Denzo now. Shizue's relentless assault gave him no reprieve. Even with Hiruzen and Denzo working together, they were still being overwhelmed by Shizue. However, their combined efforts did alleviate much of the pressure. Meanwhile, the battle between Fugaku Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha was far more brutal. Itachi knelt on the ground, his Suzunu flickering, barely holding together. His vision blurred, his body racked with bone-deep pain and exhaustion. Itachi gritted his teeth, pushing through the agony. Fugaku, in comparison, was in slightly better shape. Your father is still your father. The current Itachi was still too inexperienced compared to Fugaku. In the original story, Itachi succeeded in the massacre because Fugaku didn't resist, essentially waiting to be killed by his son. Now, Fugaku was fighting back, showing Itachi that his position as clan head wasn't just due to connections. It was earned through strength. However, better shape was relative. The cost of using Susanoo was immense, evident from the blood streaming from Fugaku's eyes. Itachi, if you turn back now and help the Uchiha clan, I can forgive you. Fugaku's heart softened.